Penny Mustard Furnishing.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Maha starts with Virago, making America healthy again. With the worst flu season in years, you need an immune system boost. The stronger your immune system, the stronger your body fights and defends against So get Virago. Virago Immune Enhancement Support is a unique blend of 23 nutraceuticals, ingredients that have been available as individual nutraceuticals, but now working in synergy to maximize their effects. Recommended by medical physicians, dentists, and other healthcare professionals, Virago is the nutraceutical cocktail for immune support. Developed to strengthen your immune system for quick response to immune challenges, for short and long-term immunity, antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. It even protects your heart, kidneys, liver, all in a unique liquid supplement for better absorption. Order online at myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com. myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Quality ingredients for optimum health. Maha. Making America healthy again starts with Virago.
Not everyone who handles your personal information is as careful as you are, which might explain why there's a victim of identity theft every 5 seconds in the United States. Fortunately, there's LifeLock. LifeLock will monitor hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity. And if your identity's stolen, a U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it guaranteed, or your money back. Save 40% your first year with my name, Clay, as your promo code at LifeLock.com. LifeLock. For the threats you can't control, terms apply.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in focus and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. If you're a guy facing divorce, remember, Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on.
2815 Old Jacksonville, Springfield. CordellCordell.com.
We always use M13. They can print anything.
They design and price match. M13 does amazing work.
M13 Graphics has helped make our brand stand out. They're definitely the best for less.
Before M13, amateur. With M13, we look awesome.
M13 Graphics, Chicago's leader in full-color design and printing. Set your business up for success with exceptional print products. Turned around in just 24 to 48 hours. Business cards, postcards, posters, banners, brochures, apparel, you name it. M13 will design and print nearly anything for your business. They have the right people in place and a reputation that keeps customers happy and coming back for more. They're a Chicago company that embodies the idea of business integrity. They live it every day. After all, in this country, you're free to do business with who you choose. Respect that freedom. Choose the best. For speedy turnaround, excellent service, and the best pricing in Chicagoland, choose M13 Graphics for all your design and printing. Online at M13.com. Visit M13.com or call now, toll free, 877-M13-1913. That's 877-M13-1913.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy. Pretty much hands off, They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief. The best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Your business is under attack 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's a fact. Small businesses are the low-hanging fruit. You may think you're protected, but you're vulnerable in many ways, and cyber attackers actively prey on small businesses. But Turnkey can protect you. Turnkey is the key to cyber protection. Turnkey has a quick and efficient 12-point evaluation to determine if your business, your profits, are at risk. And right now, for a limited time, Turnkey is offering the first month of service to all new customers free. Peace of mind, free. It includes all Microsoft licensing, antivirus, anti-malware, and completed data backup both on-site and off-site, plus help desk support. Don't leave you, your employees, and your customers vulnerable. Talk to Turnkey. Visit turnkey.pro. 3 decades of experience. That's turnkey.pro. Turnkey, the champion of small business.
Are you looking for a peaceful and enduring resting place for yourself or a loved one? Discover Fairview Memorial Park in North Lake, Illinois, a tranquil haven where your family's legacy can be honored for generations. We're excited to announce the upcoming completion of our beautiful new garden mausoleum opening this spring, offering both above-ground burial and cremation options. This serene space is surrounded by meticulously maintained landscaping and beautiful trees. With limited space available in our mausoleum, now's the time to plan ahead. Reserve your family's place today with prices starting around $7,000. And for a limited time, take advantage of a $500 discount when you pre-purchase a crypt. To learn more or secure your spot, visit fairview-memorialpark.com. That's fairview-memorialpark.com. Or stop by Fairview Memorial Park at 900 North Wolf Road in North Lake. Fairview Memorial Park. Peacefully beautiful.
Not everyone who handles your personal information is as careful as you are, which might explain why there's a victim of identity theft every 5 seconds in the United States. Fortunately, there's LifeLock. LifeLock will monitor hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity. And if your identity's stolen, a U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it guaranteed or your money back. Save 40% your first year with my name, Clay, as your promo code at LifeLock.com. LifeLock. For the threats you can't control, terms apply.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in focus and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. If you're a guy facing divorce, remember, Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on.
2815 Old Jacksonville, Springfield. CordellCordell.com.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for. For this free information, call 800-422-1609. 800-422-1609. 800-422-1609. Or simply visit godra.com.
Will your current financial plan weather any storm? It's crucial to have a strategy that can endure and grow. BestGen Wealth Partners can help you survive and thrive in retirement. Don't leave your financial future to chance. Visit GetRetiredStayRetired.com.
Advisory services offered through BestGen Advisors, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Private Client Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. Private Client Services and BestGen Advisors, LLC are unaffiliated entities. Any information discussed does not constitute investment advice. BestGen Advisors and Private Client Services do not offer tax legal advice. applies.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for. For this free information, call 800-422-1609. 800-422-1609. 800-422-1609. Or simply visit godra.com.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Clouds and cool, showering spots today, high 58. Partly cloudy, chilly tonight, low 44. Clouds and cool tomorrow, the high at 62. Clear tomorrow night, low 43. Saturday, partly sunny with a high at 63. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning, the John Cass, johncassnews.com, where you get your John Cass News, Common Sense. You get your Chicago Way podcast. You get contributions from other luminaries.
Like one thing I don't want to lie about, because I am an advertiser on this station.
Yes.
We have a commercial that says John Cass News columns by John Cass and Dan Proft, but I haven't had a Dan Proft column in quite some time.
Yeah, I'm very J.D. Salinger-esque in my production. You know, it's...
Do I have to kidnap you?
I know.
So
I do want a career.
Well, you have all those great commentaries from AM Greatness from the Counterculture podcast.
Yeah.
I wonder if I could use one of those.
Well, we'll see if I can come up with some original thought on something that's salient rather than my, perspective on what I think is going to happen in the 2024 election or something like that.
I'm not asking you to do anything for pay because I'm not paying.
Yes, well, that's
but I understand
stands to reason then.
You are not paying me, so we're even.
That's a very interesting philosophy.
Yeah.
No, I'm not paying you and you're not paying me, so we're even. I'm producing work for you for free that you use to get compensated, and so that's an interesting.
What is this?
No, I mean it's a great business model. I wish I was on the other side of it.
What am I doing here? Yes, Dan.
Well,
yes, Dan.
Well,
yes, Dan.
that's
nodding.
That's the trade-off, of course. Yes,
well,
right.
Sorry.
No, please, feel free to take it. I don't want to interrupt your social life. All right, we do have to get to some serious news out of the gate. Actually, tragic news, unfortunately. A man who shouted "Free Palestine" fatally shot 2 Israeli embassy staff members late last night near a Jewish museum in downtown Washington. And wouldn't you know it, the report is the individual they have in custody is a 30-year-old from Chicago.
Of course.
From the Party for Socialism and Liberation.
Sorry.
Who previously argued, among other things, this from the Liberation newspaper for the Party of Socialism and Liberation, in case you've let your subscription lapse. The party, this guy argued that the murder of Laquan McDonald and the Chicago bid for an Amazon headquarters are not separate issues, but rather they're connected. How they're connected? Well, they're not connected. But this is the sort of person you're dealing with. And there's some video, and I can't verify this, so I'm just characterizing it, that alleges to be of this guy being taken away, being taken into custody, still shouting Free Palestine after allegedly murdering 2 Israeli embassy staff members. Actually, it turns out to be, from the reports I've seen, a young couple who were recently engaged.
The staff members?
The 2 individuals who were murdered.
Does this maniac try to link Rahm Emanuel to this? Because I saw the nod to Laquan McDonald.
I'd like to try wanting to crawl inside that guy's mind and indulge his ridiculous arguments. Yeah, that's not worth our time. The attack occurred during a reception hosted by the American Jewish Committee's D.C. Young Professional Board. Okay. According to witnesses, man entered the museum shortly after the shooting wearing a keffiyeh and shouting Free Palestine before being removed from police.
So he's going to miss the next semester at Columbia?
Well, this is sort of the backdrop here is what these not just the Ivy League universities, but including the Ivy League universities, but what the left has become. And this Free Palestine, of course, is a cause celeb. You have these Students for Justice in Palestine chapters on Ivy League campuses and non-Ivy League campuses that have some discernible ties to terrorist groups in terms of where the funding for this infrastructure comes from. You have being lionized as some sort of martyr for the cause. In point of fact, Claire Shipman, speaking of Columbia, Claire Shipman is the interim president at Columbia. Mrs. Jay Carney, you may remember. She's married to former Obama spokeshuman Jay Carney.
Right.
She a former D.C. press corps flack herself, Claire Shipman.
I remember mocking him. We used to mock him all the time, Jay Carney.
Yeah, and then along came KJP, and you're like, boy, I long for the days of Jay Carney. So anyway, Claire Shipman is the interim president. They have more front office problems at Columbia than the Bears do. I mean, really. Boy, one president after another. I mean, this is sort of a problem in the Ivy League generally, of course, because they have allowed their campus to be taken over by pro-Hamas, terror-sympathizing barbarians. And frankly, at some point here, now you have this assassination of 2 Israeli embassy staffers, and we'll see as more details become available what the relevant information is and if it connects back to college campuses or Students for Justice in Palestine. I'm not saying it does. I don't know. But I'm just saying, well, this is fog of war stuff at this point.
But they've taken money from the Middle East. They've taken money from China. And are they surprised that their students from China are nothing more than spies, and the Middle East students are nothing more than wretches who are demanding Free Palestine?
Well, to be fair, I mean, a lot of colleges, universities at the top levels have taken billions of dollars from Qatar and Qataris, I should say. And by the way, apparently we are taking a $400 million gift in the form of a Boeing 747 from Qatar. From Qatar, this administration. So, I don't want to say one necessarily leads to the other, but it's certainly part of the conversation in terms of whether this is proper and whether there are pitfalls here. Anyway, Claire Shipman, this interim president, this was her attempt to address the undergraduates at Columbia, the best and the brightest that are matriculating at the Ivy League.
To define the values... Good morning, class of 2025. I know that many of you feel some amount of frustration with me and I know you feel it with the administration. And I am always open to feedback, which I am getting right now, to define the values.
Well, now you know what it felt like when conservatives were invited on campus to speak by a campus student group at almost any university, with very few exceptions, and were shouted down and at the height of canceling, so forth, and they had to deal with these sentimental barbarian undergrads. Now they've turned on the administration, the professorate, which is why all the alleged adults with positions of authority on these campuses are completely afraid of the students over which they are supposed to mentor.
And they still expect jobs, right? The class of 2025 or 2026, what did she say?
Well, class of 2025, this is graduation time, right? We're in the throes of graduation.
Who's lining up to hire these barbarians and bring them into... I went to Columbia, so yeah, I can't wait to bring you into my corporate sphere, my office.
Well, there are always
government. Stab me in the back.
Well, maybe literally. There are always government-funded NGOs for them to find a soft place to land, but it really speaks to. I mean, getting university presidents getting shouted down, speakers getting shouted down, the protests, the no-go zones. And since we all live on one big college campus now and have for some time, what happened at that embassy, the murder of those two Israeli embassy staffers, has to be looked at in the larger context, which includes the college campuses, but more broadly, the college campus on which we all live. And now do you want to start taking it seriously? Now do you really want to start peeling back the layers to see just exactly what the interconnections are between some of these designated terrorist organizations overseas and what's happening on this college campus we call America? Coming up at 5:38, we'll come back local and we'll talk about Naperville School District 203. There's apparently a middle school boy playing girls' sports, and it's created quite a ruckus in Naperville 203. Interesting, a teachable moment. That's 5:38. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 49 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer Newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Home Depot does not expect to raise prices due to President Trump's global tariffs.
During this week's earnings call, Billy Bastick, executive vice president for the big box store, had this to say.
In the marketplace, again, it's somewhat early days still, and I would just reiterate our position, as I mentioned, about not seeing broad-based price increases at the Home Depot.
CEO Ted Decker emphasized their focus on associates.
Because we know that if we take care of our associates, they will take care of the customer, and everything else will take care of itself.
While prices remain steady, some products may be removed from shelves because of the tariffs. I'm Liz Kennedy.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Lowe's knows that no matter your paint or stain project, savings is at the top of your to-do list. So shop Memorial Day deals now on paints, primers, and stains from top brands like HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams, Valspar, and Cabot. All on your next project. Find more Memorial Day deals now at Lowe's. We help you save. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Mike Gallagher sees another swing at Trump.
Have you seen this Letitia James and her speeches? This woman is completely off her rocker. This is the scoundrel who campaigned on getting Trump, and now she's trying it again. Now she's ramping up another round of lawfare against Donald Trump. It's like she's not going to stop. These are some sick people.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Charlie Kirk at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
We always use M13. They can print anything.
They design and price match. M13 does amazing work.
M13 Graphics has helped make our brand stand out. They're definitely the best for less.
Before M13, amateur. With M13, we look awesome.
M13 Graphics, Chicago's leader in full-color design and printing. Set your business up for success with exceptional print products. Turned around in just 24 to 48 hours. Business cards, postcards, posters, banners, brochures, apparel, you name it. M13 will design and print nearly anything for your business. They have the right people in place and a reputation that keeps customers happy and coming back for more. They're a Chicago company that embodies the idea of business integrity. They live it every day. After all, in this country, you're free to do business with who you choose. Respect that freedom. Choose the best. For speedy turnaround, excellent service, and the best pricing in Chicagoland, choose M13 Graphics for all your design and printing. Online at M13.com. Visit M13.com or call now, toll free, 877-M13-1913. That's 877-M13-1913.
Rick Borick, host of Unleash Your Wealth.
When the stock market struggles, when inflation is high, you need to start looking through the inventory of all your accounts and say, is every one of these investments working as hard as it could be? Because every month during high inflation that you waste, you're losing 8 or 9% a year.
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and our new time at 2 p.m. here on AM 560, The Answer.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy. Pretty much hands off, They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere. Delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Pluto TV.
Give your liver the support it needs with Active Liver. Go to NORDICUSA.com, Amazon, or ask for Active Liver at your local CVS. New you, new Nordic.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today, mostly cloudy and cool. A couple of showers around. The high today, 58. Partly cloudy, chilly night. Low tonight, 44. Clouds and cool tomorrow. The high, 62. And then clearing skies tomorrow night, low 43. Partly sunny on Saturday. The high, 63. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. But in for me this morning is John Cass, johncastnews.com.
We always get a good cup of Midwestern common sense.
Indeed. So, excuse me, interesting. Yesterday at our cigar night.
I got to hear more about that and all the people trying to show you how smart they are at your expense. I'm sure there was drama.
No, not really. No, it was good.
Really?
Yeah.
A good group?
Yeah, Elder was great. That we did it at Gobert's Farm in Pingree Grove, and I haven't been up there before. It's
Where is this?
It's right off 47 and 90. So, going out towards Woodstock Way, but you make a left instead of a right when you get off at 47. So it's actually pretty easy access, even though it seems far out there. But
I fished with Dick Mell out there at a farm.
Oh, did you?
Mm-hmm.
It must have been nice.
Me and the ultimate.
Yeah, was it like river runs through it?
Kind of.
Was it kind of like that?
Except on a bass boat.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys have a nice time?
Plastic worms, caught some bass. That's the idea.
You made sandwiches. He brought the coffee. How did that go? I mean, was it like a picnic atmosphere? I mean, you
know what?
Sounds.
I'm not spry enough to jump over.
Borderline romantic, actually.
Yeah.
No, I could see the sun setting. A couple of old pals
walking hand in hand.
Yeah.
Talking about how he climbed up from the cucumber patches to marry the girl whose daddy ran the whole Spring Empire. Yeah. No, I didn't talk. We didn't do that.
Did you talk about dump sites at all? Anything like that? About the old son-in-law?
No, but he's an interesting fellow. I mean,
I bet
you would very much like to spend some time with him because you learn how corrupt, even though you already know this, how corrupt Chicago really is. There's no.
Is this where I do my Ed McMahon? How corrupt is it?
Maybe.
That was sort of me doing Johnny Carson, but Ed McMahon's line. Anyway. Yeah. And.
Hey-o.
How did it end? The fishing trip to.
It's just one day.
No, I know, but.
Long time ago when I could walk. Yeah.
Did you do. Did you say we have to do this every weekend and then it just never came together again, or what happened?
I don't think we said that. I think it was more like, okay, yeah. You don't have guys fishing, you don't have to have a 2-hour conversation about your emotions.
No, I understand. Yeah, it's the old, right. So what's going on with so-and-so's wife who you play with? I don't know. We didn't talk about that. Well, how many kids does he have? I have no idea. What does he do for a living? Oh, we didn't talk about any of that. Oh,
yeah.
But how did it? I mean, now we're off on this tangent. How did it begin in the first place? Like, how did this date get set up?
He called me and said, "You want to go fishing?" I said, "Damn right I do."
Mm-hmm.
So let's go.
And so what did
it didn't come with.
What do you want?
Didn't come with, and John will write like a contract. Like I will write favorable columns about him. No, it didn't.
Well, you don't say that out loud.
Yeah, well, you don't even imply it.
Well, I know,
because if it was the slightest hint that that's what you expected, then I would savage you mercilessly.
I understand, but so what was his point? He's just looking to make friends. He's a social guy.
He just liked this pond, and we went fishing using plastic worms.
Yeah, but why you?
Because I like to fish, or I used to. I used to be quite the able fisherman.
I've heard. I know this. I haven't had the pleasure of fishing with you. I guess I need to invite you out to fish with plastic worms and make some sandwiches.
I can't do it anymore. I don't. Anyway, we're off the tangent.
No, you started it. So,
sorry.
But I still don't understand.
You're gonna make me pay.
I still don't understand why Dick Mel. He wanted to go fishing.
Somebody
like fishing.
Called Dick Mel up and asked him.
He doesn't know anybody else who likes fishing. Why John Cass?
He thought it would be good. He thought we would enjoy it. I would enjoy it.
Just you two.
Yeah. Just the two of us.
Uh-huh.
I know.
I'm afraid to ask the follow-up questions now. I'm a little afraid to ask. I have to tell you.
Look, even though
were there any awkward moments?
See this? This is a cane, everyone. I use it to walk, but I will vault myself over this wall and grab him by the throat if he keeps.
Was that the beginning of some sort of regular professional communication, or had that been ongoing, or what was it? I mean, people are interested. Did he offer to gift JohnCassNews.com a 747?
This is long before JohnCassNews.com.
Did he offer to gift the Chicago Tribune access to one of his friend's planes or something?
No, because I don't like to fly with people I don't know.
Did he? Oh, really? But you like to go fishing with them?
Yeah. Well, I covered the guy.
Uh-huh.
I covered the guy for years. I was down there. We're talking about stuff. What would Dick Mel talk about? His son-in-law, fishing, and movies, and hypochondria.
So was this when Blagojevich was governor?
I think it was before he was governor.
When he was a congressman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When they were building him up.
Mm-hmm.
Right before, in Dick's own words, before Rod dropped his old wife, Dick, and found a new wife, Chris Kelly, who ended up committing suicide in a flypaper shack in the south suburbs.
Yeah, it's the glamour of Illinois and Chicago politics.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
So
will you will you please?
You started
Why are
it.
you punishing
Well,
me?
because
this is not a guess.
This is fascinating, like how these things happen. People wouldn't normally expect to be hanging out. They end up hanging out.
The guy asked me if I want to go fishing, and I didn't want to be like, "Oh, I can't go fishing with you because you're a politician and I am a newspaper man."
No, I'm not saying that.
that.
I would just say, like, if somebody called me that I didn't want to go fishing with, I would say, no, I like fishing. I just don't really have any interest in doing it with you.
Well, that's your prerogative.
I know it's my prerogative, and
in me, I know that he's a good fisherman. We've talked about fishing constantly. And I saw one of his fishing pictures that I shouldn't share. Okay.
Well, you have to now.
Yeah, it was, he caught a big fish, and next to the big fish were two beautiful girls who apparently...
Oh, really?
We caught them too, somehow.
His nieces?
Yeah, something like that.
And so... So was he telling you, like, Blagojevich, my son-in-law, he's going to be a real reformer. He's not part of the old machine, and
at least Dick treated people that he thought were intelligent with some respect.
So he didn't try to shine you on about Rod or anything else.
It wasn't like telling me Joe Biden is a fiddle and sharp as a tack.
Probing. Did he say that about Blagojevich? Because that would have been also misleading.
He was probing.
Yes. Yeah, he's the best edition of Rod Blagojevich. Brian.
He ran foul. He ran foul of Barack Obama because he embarrassed the president on the sale of the Senate seats. Right?
Yeah. Okay. Brian in Wheatfield, Indiana, here in Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning.
I saw that. I saw your little snippet. Okay, so just know that I know who you are. I know where you.
He knows where Wheatfield, Indiana, is too now. Yeah.
Yeah,
you're a neighbor,
from
buddy.
Indiana now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say you're a great fill-in, John. You throw out a name and you've done something with that person, or been there, or. Just like Amy.
Yeah. No matter who's in the news, Brian, I'm glad you picked up on that. No matter who's in the news, or even not in the news.
I did not make out with Mel.
You didn't?
No.
Was it close at any point? 'Cause it sounds like it.
I'm thinking of that ridiculous Edward James Olmos story.
I mean, you can call it ridiculous, but it's true. George in Naperville.
Yes, Dan, this is better than Old Man in the Sea by Hemingway.
Yeah, I thank you for telling us who wrote it, George. We're literate on this show. Yeah. It does have a... Yeah.
Plastic worm. What does the metaphor represent? Sometimes a worm is just a worm.
Right. Until somebody says you want to play hide the worm.
I don't go there. That's not my métier.
So was that the last time you
fished with him? Yeah.
Or any sort of excursion? Like, did you guys find a tandem bike near the pond and you?
I told you I would come over the top of here.
So that was, and so the communications up until present day have been what? Do you guys reminisce about that fishing trip?
I haven't talked to him in a long time, but I did speak to him about a year ago on the phone, and he brought that "Oh, you remember when we went for bass?" I'm like, "Yeah, Dick, I remember."
That's a great story. It's like Chris Farley. It's like a Chris Farley interview. Paul McCartney, you remember when you were in the Beatles? Yeah, I remember. Yeah, that was awesome. Thanks for sharing that, John. All right, we're going to try and remember what we were supposed to talk about, and then we'll come back with John Cass.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
At AlmostFreeTeeth.com, they're dedicated to making smiles great again. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get a beautiful dental implant-supported smile. Check if you qualify right now at AlmostFreeTeeth.com.
The following is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways with the purpose of soliciting sales of vacation ownership. For complete details, please visit FVGradio.com. If you want a 100% complimentary stay at a luxury resort in Cancun, airfare not included, then Family Vacation Getaways is your ticket to paradise. See website for complete details. We're giving away 5 days and 4 nights to the first 50 callers who can name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. An animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. Do you know it? Call now, 800-208-0414, 800-208-0414. You're also eligible for an exciting bonus vacation to Orlando, Florida for just $498. And don't worry about anything ruining your plans. We can extend your travel up to 18 months. Name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird, and you get a complimentary Cancun resort stay and an optional bonus vacation to Orlando for just $498. What are you waiting for? Call 800-208-0414, 800-208-0414, and give us your answer. The proceeding is not a contest and is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways and not sponsored by this program or its affiliates.
AM 560. The Answer.
Dan and John Cass in for Amy J this morning.
I really don't like Dan anymore. I don't know why I did.
More stories about Chicago power brokers and his quality time with them later on in the show. I did want to get to the story we were supposed to get to before you imposed upon us with your Dick Mel fishing trip.
This is not a wave.
I know, I'm getting the Mutza.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Naperville 203. So we were talking about this at Cigar Night because a woman in the Q&A portion of the program basically said, in the spring elections recently passed, I tried to find out information about these local candidates, and I didn't feel comfortable voting for people I didn't know because I didn't want to vote for more of these neo-Marxists. And it's just hard to get information and so on and so forth. And then we were just taught, so it just spawned a little bit of a conversation about well, like we had in the run-up to the April election, which is low turnout, you engage, pay attention, these elections matter, and commonsensical people can make a difference. You're really not outnumbered, particularly because turnout is so low. Naperville 203 has been on the grid for a long time because they're such a poorly run school district that is completely politicized. These schools have completely been turned into indoctrination camps. And this is in leafy DuPage County, former Henry Hyde territory. Not so much anymore, 203. The sentimental barbarians have taken over.
Can you even mention Henry Hyde in a public forum?
Yeah, well, that's exactly. That's the sad commentary of DuPage. So now they have this issue, which probably should have been addressed during the April election. Naperville School Board is dealing with a little bit of a parental revolt over apparently a young man who is playing sports that should be exclusive to young women. And this has the community embroiled. Big turnout for a school board meeting. That should happen more regularly. The parents of one of the girls that is negatively impacted spoke out about this. Marie Davis and Doug Crine are their names, and this is what they said.
I was actually shocked. At first, I couldn't believe it. I started talking to other parents, and it's like, is this really happening?
Marie Davis and Doug Crine's 7th grade daughter was among those who competed, they say, against a transgender female student athlete who won multiple girls' events that day. We blurred the faces of students in this video because they're minors.
It's pretty upsetting to see your kid, distraught out there, trying to do her best and doesn't really have a shot.
And not a new story, because despite what the left says, this never happened. It's a tempest in a teapot, small percentage.
They're saying she competed against a female athlete. No. Whoever did this report
Well,
typical media.
Chicago press, yes.
Right. They're gaslighting people.
Well, the response, just sort of a flavor of the response that Marie Davis and Doug Crine are getting, and others in Naperville School District that are opposed to boys competing against girls in sports. This is, center cut. This is Deerfield Redux.
And I'm a parent of 2 District 203 students, one at Lincoln and one at Central. Today, I speak to you in support of transgendered students and transgendered student athletes. I am proud to live in a state that protects a student's right to participate in sports that align with their gender identity. I thank you for supporting and following this law. Other parties will tell you that they believe this is a disservice to our cisgendered students, and especially our female athletes. As the parent of 2 students in the district, and as a woman, I reject the notion that allowing transgendered athletes to participate in sports is detrimental to our students.
I reject
Losing
the
a
notion
race
that
is
you're
disappointing.
a mom.
It is okay for our students to experience disappointment. We cannot protect our children from all the disappointments in life, but we can encourage them to develop resilience. This growth mindset will benefit them in numerous situations.
Did this woman help her child transition from one sex to another?
No, she didn't mention anything like that. But
because once they do, there's no going back.
Well,
no going back.
Well, she didn't say anything about her kids being, identifying as something other than their biological sex. But that's not the issue. The issue is what she said, that this is about disappointment. And actually, it's nice to see some turnout at the school board meeting. It's nice to see this being discussed, because then you can address some of the specious arguments that are advanced. This fallacious line of reasoning, I use reasoning generously here. This is, we can't protect students, our kids, from disappointment. We have to prepare them for the road and life's little disappointments. This has nothing to do with disappointment. And it doesn't even have anything to do with fairness in the way that people talk about it colloquially. It has to do with truth. And so this is a really an important moment for Naperville 203 parents, because you could take the testimony of someone like that and say, here's what you have to understand. Part of it in life is just because somebody's older than you, just because somebody is a parent, doesn't mean they're right. They can give in to all sorts of temptations to be purveyors of untruth. And that's so in this case for people who are arguing for boys to participate in girls' sports because of some sense of inclusion or diversity or their definition of fairness. Here's the truth. The premise of their belief is that boys and girls identifying, or I should say girls and boys identifying as girls are the same thing, and they're not the same thing. And once you acknowledge they're not the same thing, everything else falls apart. Their entire argument falls apart. But don't tell me about popularity, and don't tell me about disappointments, and don't tell me about fairness. Just say, look, it all comes down to this. Raise your hand if you believe that girls and boys identifying as girls are the same thing. If you're not raising your hand, then you're saying they don't belong in girls' private spaces. They don't belong in girls' sports. The reasons are obvious. It's almost Charles Barkley-esque. I'm not even going to waste my time having to make the obvious arguments once the underlying premise has been properly vetted. That's it. End of game. And I hope there's some rallying around synthesizing this for people, clarifying it, getting down to the basic foundation of the big lie that the pro-trans enablers are telling, like that woman, are telling. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on Naperville. Coming up at 6:06, as Peter Doocy observed, foreign policy under Trump is like the real world. We'll explain. 6:06. Now, time to check the headlines. As it is 6 a.m., AM 560, WIND Chicago.
2:15 to 2:14. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That was the margin of the vote moments ago in the House approving the massive budget plan to fund President Trump's agenda.
This one big, beautiful bill is the most consequential legislation that any party has ever passed.
House Speaker Mike Johnson moments ago.
It revives our economy. It will deliver historic tax relief. It will make the largest investment in our border security in a generation.
The bill extends the 2017 tax cuts and includes spending cuts. Republicans say gets rid of waste, fraud, and abuse while putting work requirements on Medicaid. Democrats were united in opposition.
This is one big, ugly bill.
Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said on the House floor cuts to Medicaid and other programs will take away health coverage from millions of Americans. And
Republicans are taking food out of the mouths of children, disabled Americans, veterans, and older Americans.
But that bill again passed moments ago, and Democrats don't have the votes to block it in the Senate, where they'll use a budget process that can't be filibustered, just needing a simple majority. It was an act of anti-Semitic terror. That's what Israel's ambassador to the UN calls last night's shooting outside the Capitol Jewish Museum.
He approached a group of 4 people, produced a handgun, and opened fire, striking both of our decedents.
That's Washington, D.C. Metro Police Chief Pamela Smith. The couple killed were about to get engaged and were both Israeli embassy staffers. This man watched the accused gunman taken into custody.
He grabbed a red keffiyeh out of his pocket and started the Free Palestine chants. You know, there's only one solution, Intifada revolution. And he was being dragged out of the building as he was yelling Free Palestine.
It's day 7 of the manhunt for 5 escaped prisoners still on the run in Louisiana. 2 women are charged with helping the escapees. 5 others who broke out Friday were already captured. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 49 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Mayor Johnson says he's done all he can to keep the Bears in Chicago. He reacted yesterday for the first time since the team recently announced that they will focus on building a new stadium in Arlington Heights. Johnson added that he's not given up on proposed sites on the lakefront or the property where the former Michael Reese Hospital was located. Meanwhile, Governor J.B. Pritzker says he's not against state funding for a stadium, but it must be a benefit to taxpayers. A Chicago man is accused of stabbing a 64-year-old man to death on the west side. Christian Gardner has been charged with murder. Police say the crime happened Monday morning in the 2400 block of West Glades Avenue. Gardner allegedly got into an argument with an older man in an alley where he pulled out a knife and stabbed him several times. The victim was taken to the hospital where he died. And a Chicago man is accused of shooting and killing 2 Israeli embassy staff members outside of Washington, D.C.'s Capitol Jewish Museum. Police say Elias Rodriguez was taken into custody following the shooting last night. He shouted "Free Palestine" while being arrested. Officials say Rodriguez was pacing the area shortly before the shooting and waited for the group of people to leave. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
It's almost time for AM 560's annual golf outing, presented by Signature Bank. And once again, AM 560 is proud to partner with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation as they support America's first responder and military heroes, including homeless veterans, and to help America never forget 9/11. It's all happening on Wednesday, June 18th at McRae Memorial Golf Club in Barrington. Enjoy a full day of golf, meals, an awards reception, and a silent auction. Reserve your foursome today at 560theanswer.com/golf.
Heroes like Austin Reese have paid a high price for our freedom. Austin served 3 deployments to Iraq. He spent 13 years with the Navy Explosive Ordnance Disposal Unit and became a military freefall instructor. But in what was thought to be a routine jump, something went terribly wrong. Austin was left paralyzed. Tunnel to Towers built Austin a specially adapted smart home. Help heroes. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288.
Will your current financial plan weather any storm? It's crucial to have a strategy that can endure and grow. BestGen Wealth Partners can help you survive and thrive in retirement. Don't leave your financial future to chance. Visit GetRetiredStayRetired.com.
Advisory services offered through BestGen Advisors, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Private Client Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. Private Client Services and BestGen Advisors, LLC are unaffiliated entities. Any information discussed does not constitute investment advice. BestGen Advisors and Private Client Services do not offer tax legal advice.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes, 14 minutes outbound. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, 11 minutes outbound, 15 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 16 minutes outbound, 18 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 20 minutes outbound, about 15 minutes. On the Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Burn Interchange, 15 minutes outbound, about 10 minutes. Traffic is a service of Air Right Heating and Cooling, offering AM 560 listeners $56 off of any service, including inspections. Don't wait for a heat wave for that old air conditioner to break down. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today, mostly cloudy and cool. Couple of showers around. The high today, 58. Partly cloudy, chilly night. Low tonight, 44. Clouds and cool tomorrow. The high, 62. And then clearing skies tomorrow night, low 43. Partly sunny on Saturday. The high, 63. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy J this morning, John Cass, JohnCassNews.com, and tried to address this last hour, but John sort of sidetracked us with his story about frolicking in a meadow with Dick Mell or something. Anyway, so I want to thank everybody who turned out for Cigar Night with Larry Elder last night in Pingree Grove. The Gobert's Farm, the event space there, it was outstanding. It's a beautiful space. If you haven't seen it or been up there for an event, it's really, really nice, and it's pretty easy access right off 47. But it was a good time. Larry Elder was excellent, as you would expect from the sage of South Central, and had some great stories, including about his relationship with his father, which, of course, he has already memorialized in a book, but a lot of people hadn't heard it before. Really, really good. And we had a great turnout, and we're going to do it again tonight at Gaelic Park. So
almost in Indiana.
Almost, yeah. Right, Chicago's Morning Answer coming to you live from Northwest Indiana. That's probably in the offing at some point, the way things are going in Illinois. But as we talked about last night, that there is opportunities for change. Change may be afoot in California, and so it was a good conversation because with Elder in California and having run for governor, and that being a state of significant despondency as it pertains to conservatives, and Illinois being sort of similarly situated, it was a good comparison contrast of what is and isn't going on in these two poorly run states, and where there might be opportunity in the next cycle or two, depending on, in part, what happens at the federal level. Speaking about what was happening at the federal level, while we were preparing to go on last night, so President Trump hosted Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa, at the White House, and
mic drop. The whole thing was stupendous.
Wow,
loved it.
So, of course, we have been for a couple of years now addressing this issue of the ANC communists in charge of the South African government and their paramilitary associated organizations like EFF, which is run by this guy, Julius Malema.
Is that the guy who was screaming, "Kill the Boer, kill the white farmer"?
Yeah, that's this guy.
Shoot to kill Yamaza. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer. Brr, pa, pa, brr, pa, pa.
I'm sorry, that was from Stacey Davis Gates' victory party the other day.
The only thing that was missing from Trump's takedown of the South African Marxist Party was was having Stanley Baker and Michael Caine in uniform of the British soldiers that they played in Zulu, shouting, "First rank fire, second rank fire." I mean, it was just so unbelievably good.
Well, the issue...
It was so good that Martha McCallum and a lot of those personalities on Fox tried to cover it up and spin it away. It was so good.
Well, I mean, the issue, of course, is multifold, which is to say the 59 South African farmers, Afrikaners, that were granted asylum status here because they do legitimately fear political repression and perhaps killing at the hands of their government because of the land expropriation and racialist policies of the ANC. And then this became something that really riled the new Marxist Party here. Why are we providing sanctuary for white Afrikaners? We shouldn't be doing that.
We should kill them?
Or it's racist to do that.
Right.
And then it was compounded when Ramaphosa, the South African president, number one, called those Afrikaners who fled to America cowards for fleeing.
Right.
Number two, has denied there is anything even approximating a genocide going on.
So he played the alpha in Trump's house.
He tried to, and Peter Doocy was there to report on how that went.
President Trump called for the lights to be dimmed so that he could show this multimedia presentation to basically call the visiting South African president's bluff. The South African president came here to say there is no genocide happening in South Africa. President Trump basically said, okay, well, then what's all of this? And he showed political leaders and opposition leaders in South Africa saying some very heinous and violent things for several minutes. And he just made the South African president and the rest of the South African delegation sit there in the half-dark room and watch it. And afterwards, President Trump did want to talk a little bit about trade, and his visiting famous golfer friends from South Africa got to speak as well. He said he has not made up his mind, despite the presentation that he had the staff cut and put forward. He has not made up his mind yet about whether or not there's genocide happening. That is something the South African team strenuously denies, and it's worth pointing out that is definitely the most awkward Oval Office meeting since Zelensky was here. It ended a little bit better because I can see the vehicle. It is not leaving. The South African delegation is not leaving early. They will be sticking around for lunch. But really, when you watch that, it seems like the Trump foreign policy doctrine is a lot like the old slogan for the MTV show The Real World, where people stop being polite and start getting real. And that's what we just saw from President Trump.
Stop being polite and start getting real. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line and text line. We've also played the sort of the open letter that was narrated by a South Afrikaner woman who saw her husband murdered in their house in front of her eyes, and both she and her children were threatened, and it was all about the reappropriation of land.
I wonder what NBC did with this, because I didn't watch them. I don't watch them. But they avoid racial killing, like the white victim of black activism is to be ignored. It's forbidden subject.
Well, the thing about this, too, is, the hypocrisy does not go in both directions. Which is what this sort of they'd have you believe. Some people would have you believe. Oh, well, it's you're against immigration or against asylum, except for white South African farmers. That's not true. On these airwaves, you've heard me say before, and I'm hardly the only one, that the Haitians, after the assassination of their president, and that country descended into even greater warlordocracy than already afflicts it. And people were being killed by these warlords and that alleged cannibal who had taken charge, so to speak, if they were of the wrong political stripe. They have an absolute case for asylum. I mean, that's why I'm a pro-asylum laws that we have, but they have to be followed. And I'm agnostic. If you're suffering the possibility of political or religious repression, then that's why we have asylum laws in this country. That's why we're a beacon for the free world, and I'm a proponent. So it's not true what Suburban Dad on the Down Low, Tim Kaine, and others are saying. They're trying to hold up Marco Rubio, as we talked about yesterday. They are race hustlers. That is not the case here with conservatives. I don't think you take 20,000 Haitians and you just drop them into Springfield, Ohio. That doesn't make any sense. But you absolutely provide sanctuary to the extent possible in our nation's interests, as Marco Rubio explained before that Senate committee yesterday.
Just guard the cats and dogs.
If somebody or somebody's are subject to political or religious repression, persecution, yes, absolutely. And that's what we're talking about. And when Ramaphosa, no, we decry any calls of violence coming from people like that Malamar.
You're wrong. He basically told Trump he was wrong.
Well, he was right, and then in the exchange, he was asked about these what everybody saw when Trump dimmed the lights and rolled this 4.5-minute montage of calls for violence, and this is how that went.
So you denounced that type of language in the video that you saw? Oh yes, we've always done so. As government, as my own party, we are completely opposed to that. We, in 1955, adopted a document which said South Africa belongs to all who live in it.
But why wouldn't you arrest that man? That man said, kill the white farmers, kill the white farmers. And then he danced, and he's dancing, and it's kill the white farmers. I'm not sure, but I think if somebody got up in Parliament and started saying, kill a certain group of people, he would be arrested very quickly. That man is going all over South Africa, and that's not a small party. That was a stadium that holds 100,000 people, and I hardly saw an empty seat. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of representation. And those crosses, we have dead white people, dead white farmers mostly. And you take a look at Australia, they're being inundated, and we're being inundated with people that want to get out. And their farm is valueless. It's valueless. And they just want to get out with their life. And this is a very serious situation.
It is. And, oh, by the way, South Africa also has been destroyed by these communists just from a policy perspective, race agnostic, just central planning follies have destroyed that country's ability to power itself and thus in significant part to grow. So, yes, yes, and all of the above to this third world kleptocracy run by a bunch of communists that, and unfortunately Mandela was one too, that leveraged the noxious apartheid policy of the past to do noxious things in the present. Different, but and some different, some similar, but noxious all the same.
Using a tire to burn it on a farmer's head is not going to encourage others to invest in your country. If you don't use the military to arrest those people.
Colombian necktie, didn't they used to call it?
Yeah, I guess.
Cartel stuff.
If you don't have them arrested, lined up against the wall and shot, then you're not going to have a country.
Well, CNN, their I guess correspondent who reports on South Africa for them.
No.
He was brought on to do what? The same thing you've been seeing for the last several days with respect to Biden. You got to contextualize this. You need the context to fully understand kill the farmer, kill the Boer.
There, Larry, has been debate over that song, that anti-apartheid chant, right? And for people who don't have a historical context, it does potentially appear more literal. Talk to us about the debate that has happened inside of South Africa with the recognition of how it appears to people when they hear those words.
It is an inflammatory song, without a doubt. And many in South Africa, even black South Africans, don't think it should be sung in a post-apartheid world, 30 years plus after apartheid. But there are many who grew up under those years of white minority rule who understand the historical context of this song, Kill the Boer, Kill the Farmer, that Julius Malema has made popular again. It sort of fell into disuse. It's not been that commonly sung after the end of apartheid in 1994, but it's brought it back again to reanimate the issue of the majority of land in South Africa still being owned by white farmers.
Oh no, it's definitely reanimated the issue because it's
you're killing them.
Yeah, it's connected to killings. Number one, number two. I mean, Malema, however you pronounce his name.
Kami.
I mean, the recent interview, which we played here too. He's asked, "Are you calling for the murder of white farmers?" Well, not yet. Well, it's happening, but I'm not formally calling for it yet. Although he seems to have formally called for it in multiple rallies. But his ideological disposition is that the revolution will necessarily entail some killings, and it's pretty clear that he's not, just a big talker. That he's just talking smack without the whack.
You know what else?
They have the whack too.
What else is clear is that the media, corporate legacy media, cannot handle this issue. They don't want to touch it. They're terrified of being called racists by the.
What else is new? What else is new?
Yeah, but now you're seeing it played out there. We're seeing it played out here, everywhere in Chicago. You got what's his name? Black Lenin. What's his name?
Don Lemon?
No.
Lamone?
No. Brandon Johnson.
Oh, BLM Brandon.
The Black Lenin, as I call him.
Oh, Black Lenin, not Lemon.
Yes, Lenin. Saying, I heard this person black, this person black, that person.
Well, see, but I mean, you know this. Look, it's just another illustration of it. The D.C. Press Corps and all of its regional outposts in places like Chicago, they have no ability to tell the truth if the story involves a black person perpetrating a wrong on a white person. They just have no ability to lay the facts bare. It always has to be contextualized. They have to apologize for it.
Is there some governing agent inside their body that makes them tell the story that way?
Well, yeah,
they get electric shocks.
They're identitarian simpletons. They're movement people, the useful idiot part of the movement. Roger in DeKalb, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, hey, great to hear you guys this morning. So, a couple of facts for our uninterested press. In 2022, according to the South African census, 7.3% of the people were white in South Africa. So this idea that, there's like a lot fewer percentage-wise killed than blacks, well, it's probably closer to 5% now because they have been leaving. Another fact, you as a white landowner or business owner, you cannot leave South Africa for any reason unless you sign your business and land over to the government of South Africa. The one guy I know down there 10 years ago had 10 successful businesses, employed probably 95% black South Africans. He has one left now. They've confiscated every business except one, and the only reason they can't confiscate that one because it relies on global patents for its processing. So they can't confiscate that one or they'll lose that business completely. It's just outrageous that these people are. You read our press; it's like they're taking the South African president's side. That guy's on video, Ramaphosa, saying white businesses can be confiscated with no compensation for the business owners because that's just fair. So, give me a break with all this stuff.
Well, thanks for the call. Imagine our DC Press Corps being on the side of communists. They are, sort of the sanitized Western version of them on a daily basis. You think they're opposed to reparations the old-fashioned way? The spoils of war way? Of course they're not.
If the spoils of war involve national plumbing contracts in South Africa, how are they going to survive?
Well, look, I mean, if this was happening in, say, Albania, another communist enclave, where it's honky on honky, they wouldn't even be talking about it.
No.
They're only talking about it because they have to prop up everything identitarian and everything person of color, everything black. They have to prop it up. They have to apologize for it, defend it, rationalize it, contextualize it.
They have to defend the appropriation of businesses and property from white people and giving it to black people because of the sins of apartheid.
Because they're barbarians. And so what you have is
both.
Right. You have barbarians defending barbarians because that's what barbarians do.
First rank fire, second rank fire.
Jim in Crown Point.
And maybe these black South African communists can hire Jake Tapper because he's very good at running interference.
Thanks for the call, Jim.
Hey, neighbor.
Tom in Blue Island.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, John.
Hey, Tom.
When I heard this clip yesterday, I thought it was amazing. It's how John started this segment. It was an example. This is how you fight back against evil people. And every morning I share an email with two real good friends of mine, both very successful lawyers, both military colonels, and I offered this, a video of that gentleman jumping up saying, kill the boar. And one of the lawyers responded in reference to, I guess, Trump called Pritzker. He fat shamed him. There was a story about Trump fat shaming Pritzker. And it dawned on me, there isn't anything Trump's ever going to be able to do to satisfy these people that hate him for whatever reason.
Never.
And it just makes you wonder how many people died during COVID because Trump came out and said people should take hydrochloroquine and then after that, the media and everyone said that it was a horse dewormer. And it's just way too frustrating, guys.
Thanks for the call, Tom. Ivermectin, but yeah, I take your point. The PM, Prime Minister at Ogden Dunes. Yes.
Gentlemen, I'd like to address the elephant in the room when we talk about sticking to ridiculous positions. Perspicacious Prof, would you please tell the Saint John Cass that when it comes to soccer, no matter who wins, both teams and all the fans are losers.
Okay, that was almost like a Dick Mel fishing story tangent.
You're a neighbor of mine, PM. I'm from Northwest Indiana now.
Mm-hmm.
It's the hotbed of what you call soccer, but that what we call football, because it's played with the feet.
All right. I could take the Dick Mel fishing story. I can't take a soccer tangent. We have
it's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Virago is fending off viruses and making America healthy again.
Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Huber. I'm one of the co-founders of Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail. Here are what some Virago users have to say.
I started using Virago a little more than a year ago. I have 3 school-age kids, and they are constantly bringing home whatever bug is going around school, whether it's a cold, a sore throat, whatever it is. Everyone in the house was getting sick. I started taking Virago to help boost my immune system, and it worked. I haven't been sick since starting Virago. I use just a half a dose daily unless I feel like I'm getting something. Then I'll take a full dose for a day or 2, and I'm fine. I also feel great and more on top of my game, like my memory is sharper. I'm not forgetting things. I absolutely recommend Virago.
Boost your immune system with Virago. Order your bottle today. Visit myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com.
And use promo code IMMUNE to get 30% off.
That's myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Virago and Maha, making America healthy again.
Your local State Farm agent Anthony DeGrotto combines good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates. You can combine your home, auto, and life insurance to not only save you money, but give you the peace of mind you've been looking for. Anthony DeGrotto is your go-to agent in Chicagoland. He and his team will work for you to provide the best service you expect at the price you want. Combine your home, auto, and life insurance today. Anthony DeGrotto will help you mix and match things perfectly. His State Farm office is a top pick 2024 Daily Herald Reader's Choice Award winner. He's a proud supporter of Tunnel to Towers and like-minded as you. His State Farm agency is currently looking to add members at their Roselle office. Call Anthony at 847-895-1500 today or visit DeGrottoSF.com. That's DeGrottoSF.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
Good morning. It's 49 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. 2 Israeli embassy staff members are dead following a shooting outside of the Capitol Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C. Wednesday night. Nick Harper has more on the fallout.
We are already seeing outpourings of support, including from the US President Donald Trump, making it clear that he is denouncing this, saying that hatred and radicalism have no place in the United States, and saying that this anti-Semitism has to end now.
The suspect is in custody and is reported to have shouted "Free Palestine" while being arrested. Target says that price hikes will be the very last resort for offsetting tariffs. The comment comes despite the retailer reporting weaker than expected sales in its first quarter. According to Target CEO, the company has many levels to use in mitigating the impact of tariffs. Major retailers appear to be treading cautiously around the question of price hikes after Trump slammed Walmart for warning that shoppers could pay more due to tariffs. Security concerns are mounting at U.S. airports after drivers breach runways. Airports nationwide are reporting cases of vehicles ending up on or near runways. Recent incidents include a man crashing through a fence in Buffalo and a DoorDash driver roaming into restricted areas at Chicago's O'Hare. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants with medical PPO insurance? It's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
It's almost time for AM 560's annual golf outing, presented by Signature Bank. And once again, AM 560 is proud to partner with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation as they support America's first responder and military heroes, including homeless veterans, and to help America never forget 9/11. It's all happening on Wednesday, June 18th at McRae Memorial Golf Club in Barrington. Enjoy a full day of golf, meals, an awards reception, and a silent auction. Reserve your foursome today at 560theanswer.com/golf.
Whew, that shot was money, Lisa. Hey, speaking of, did you ever figure out what to do with your parents' old coin collection?
Not yet. I need a reputable dealer to appraise them. I have no clue what they're worth.
I just finished working on my dad's estate collections. I took it all to Fox Valley Coins. Their customer service was the best. Plus, they're super honest and reputable, but most importantly, experienced. They'll give you the best prices.
Really? They handle estate collections?
Absolutely. Buying, selling, appraising, they do it all. It was quick and simple, and we maintained our privacy. Fox Valley Coins made the whole process easy.
That's exactly what I need. Are they local?
Right in Naperville. They have an easy website to remember. FoxValleyCoins.com.
Perfect. Now let's see if you can return this shot.
Whether buying or selling or just want valuation, Fox Valley Coins is your trusted gold and silver dealer. Visit Fox Valley Coins, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. FoxValleyCoins.com. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
8 years. It has been 8 years since QC Kinetics has been the nation's leader in non-surgical relief for joint pain. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and this is remarkable. Using regenerative cell therapy to restore tissue in your achy joints. These are biologic growth factors with robust healing properties, carefully and strategically placed in your joint. Listen, it's a powerful and potent way to give your joints the new life and repairing old tissue. Best part, there's no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime. This is an all-natural option with lasting relief. Imagine doing all the things you enjoyed this summer without joint pain. Here's what I want you to do. Contact my good friends at QC Kinetics and ask for your free consultation. You have nothing to lose. Saturday appointments available. The number to call is 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Active Liver is the easy way to get a daily detox to keep you healthy and feeling your best. Find Active Liver at your local CVS or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes. Outbound, 14 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 13 minutes. Outbound, about 13 minutes. Now, we do have police activity. That's going to be stop and go. This is on between Ontario and Division Street. That's also going to be affecting you on the other side if you're going to be heading between the Byrne Interchange and out to O'Hare. Now, on the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the old post office, 16 minutes. Outbound, 16 minutes as well. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 18 minutes. Outbound, 15 minutes. This report is sponsored by Mattress Firm. Don't postpone better sleep. Shop Mattress Firm's Memorial Day sale now. Upgrade to a premium bed from a curated selection and take your rest to the next level. Don't miss out. Visit Mattress Firm today. Get matched. Sleep at night. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Clouds and cool, shower and spots today, high 58, partly cloudy, chilly tonight, low 44. Clouds and cool tomorrow, the high at 62. Clear tomorrow night, low 43. Saturday, partly sunny with a high at 63. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Remember this theme music?
No.
Come on.
Science fiction?
No. MacGyver.
Oh, I never watched that show.
How did you not watch MacGyver?
I didn't breakdance and I didn't watch MacGyver.
MacGyver, great show. Richard Dean Anderson, you'll recall. Great spoof movie made by Will Forte and Kristen Wiig MacGruber, if you haven't seen, and Val
She's
Kilmer.
great.
Val Kilmer too as the villain in it. It was actually quite
lamentable.
Funny. So talking about MacGyver, Richard Dean Anderson turned into a black woman, and he's a congresswoman from New Jersey now. She was on MSNBC explaining how the bumping she was doing with her fupa when it came to all those ICE agents at that New Jersey detention facility.
Fupa, you mean her derriere?
Her fupa.
What is that?
Fat upper pelvic area.
Oh, yeah, her fupa.
Yeah,
now
fupa.
I understand.
Yeah. Her fupa.
In the red.
She assaulted ICE agents with her prodigious fupa, but it was ICE's fault.
Well, I think, one, this is political intimidation from the Trump administration. I mean, me being charged is absurd, you know, especially when I'm just there to do my job. The confusion and the chaos that you see was caused by ICE officials and Homeland Security. They created this unnecessary situation by arresting the mayor, which later they dropped the charges, as you can see, you know, creating an unsafe environment for us as members of Congress, the mayor, and peaceful protesters that were outside of this facility. Once again, it was so unnecessary and it didn't have to be. We were there to do our jobs, and that is what we were there for. However, this situation is tense, very unnecessary situation. You know, this was created by ICE. We definitely did not go there for this situation.
Yeah.
Sit in the can for 10 days.
The next DNC chair, and I just want to give you all a little bit of something that's been on my heart here over the last couple of days. You fight on, you fight on, you fight on, you fight on. When your government is doing you wrong, you fight on, oh, you fight on.
MacGyver will take comfort in that. So sort of the Swing Low, Sweet Chariot 2025 version of that for Dems that are in the can or
They're
on their
all
way
old.
there. Yeah.
This is like old people screaming. It's pathetic.
Well, I bring it up just because, you know, we got somebody who's tough talker, too, when it comes to ICE. You remember.
One who intends to come take away the freedom and opportunity and dignity of Illinoisans. I would remind you that a happy warrior is still a warrior. You come for my people. You come through me.
Such a badass man.
No kidding. I mean, and if you thought MacGyver's fupa could do some damage, wait till you see the round mound of getting around come to town, because federal officials.
If he unleashes that, it's a federal offense.
Federal officials have arrested two of Pritzker's pals, his people, Venezuelan migrants, future CPS honor students. They have been arrested in connection with the December 2nd mass shooting that left 3 people dead and 5 injured at a house party in Gage Park. One was arrested in North Carolina, the other arrested in Schaumburg. So these are those are their people. That's MacGyver's version, a New Jersey version of that, the MacGyver's people,
Right.
and these people are Pritzker's people. That's who he's referring to because that's the only people that are being come for by federal law enforcement.
That's not the Gage Park I remember.
Something
I'm
else.
just saying.
Speaking of his people, I found this story interesting because, as I'm wont to say, we're focused on preventable crime that is both domestic and imported.
Sorry.
Jose Luis Mendoza Gonzalez pleaded not guilty during his arraignment Wednesday, facing multiple felony charges. This is in Lake County, where Al Reinhardt is the Lake County State's attorney, the Kraut version of Kim Fox.
Same type of Soros prosecutor.
The only other state's attorney in Illinois to support the Pritzker Purge Law, the so-called Safety Act. This individual pled not guilty, facing multiple felony charges, including concealing the death of a 37-year-old woman, Megan Boss. Boss's body was discovered in a storage container on this guy's property in Waukegan in April. She had been missing more than a month. He was released under the Safety Act, under the Pritzker Purge Law.
He was not charged with homicide.
He's charged. He's not charged with homicide yet, but he's charged, but he's released. He put a woman in a garbage container and left her on his property for a month.
Okay, the people of what county is this?
Lake County.
The people of Lake County, don't come to me, don't cry, you elected this piece of garbage, you deal with it.
And reelected. Just like Philly just reelected Larry Krasner. Some people are slow learners.
Perfect.
Eric Boss is Megan's father. This guy belongs in jail. Who does this? Who isn't held accountable for their actions for hiding a body for 51 days in a dumpster? The Safety Act isn't safe. Gosh, who was beating that drum back in 2022?
His name was Dan Proft. No one listened to him because he's a prophet in his own town.
The Boss family and their supporters, the Safety Act isn't safe. At the end of the day, we're just seeking justice for Megan. That's why everybody's here. Mm-hmm. The story that the man charged in concealing her death tells is that she came over to his place to do drugs. She overdosed. He didn't know what to do, so he put her
in a dumpster.
Put her in a garbage can and hid her on his property. Because in a medical emergency, that's the obvious thing to do. I'm sure he
don't call the police.
I'm sure no harm intended. Then you get the moralizing too about, look, we have to look at this.
In the context, Dan.
Does a person present himself as a risk to himself or others in the community? Does he present a risk of flight? No. I mean, why would anybody think that a guy who would conceal? I mean, I'm going on his story, which, by the way, I don't believe.
Right.
But
who would?
But just going in, sorry. If you guys are, because I didn't want to be arrested for using drugs, so instead I'm going to be arrested for concealing a body. I don't know what his grand plan was after a month of the body sitting in a garbage can on his property. But whatever, I don't believe him. But let's just use his story as taken, because obviously the credulous justice system in Lake County believed him enough to release him pending trial. And now the family has to suffer the further indignity of possibly running into this human detritus before the case is adjudicated. And God only knows what sentence will be meted out, even if he is convicted of these multiple felonies, what kind of deal that Reinhardt will cut since he is so sympathetic to criminals. I said this about Cook County the other day when we told you the story, because a friend of mine was a witness to one of these guys' killing. The guy who killed, ran over a 93-year-old woman, and then and a friend of a friend was a witness to it. He tried to, he got out of his car, and he was pulling this 93-year-old woman who was under his car's wheel by her leg to try to get her out from underneath his car, not rendering aid, clearly. But then he tried to accost other motorists to take their car and flee the scene. So he gets caught for that. Well, he's on probation for that one. And then he ran over some other people too. Thankfully, he didn't kill them. Then while he's on probation for that, he mowed down a bunch of other people. Then he got, did less than a year and a half in jail, and he was scheduled for to be released on probation May 16th. And this woman who was a witness to one of his crimes is like, Chicagoans should know about this guy because he's a maniac and he's going to maim or kill somebody else. Of course that seems to me a sensible concern. The criminal justice system in places like Cook County and Lake County and generally in this state,
right,
in part because of the SAFE-T Act, is an insult to not just the victims of crimes and their families, but also to civic-minded people that are trying to do right.
Who's the Illinois Attorney General?
Kwame Raoul is his name.
Right. And what does Kwame Raoul do but do the bidding of the left in everything? Has he ever stood up for his own people, for black people, to put repeat multiple offenders behind bars, gun crimes behind bars? Does he do that? No, he does not do that.
Oh, well, BLM Brandon's got that covered, doubling down on what he said earlier in the week that led to the opening of a DOJ investigation into the mayor's office.
Why wouldn't I speak to Black Chicago? Why wouldn't I? Black Chicago and black people in America have borne the brunt of the type of policies and the maneuvering and the humiliating tactics that are coming from the federal government right now. It's not a secret. Who is going to be mad at the fact that we have to prioritize spaces in the city that have been harmed the most?
So black people were doing great in the city of Chicago until Trump got elected?
And that's why he can discriminate against anyone else because, what, black people? Skin? Everything's skin with this guy.
Tom in Oswego, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, guys. Good morning, guys. I think this is why it's so important that we investigate the 4 years of Biden to try to find out who was running the show. Because this was all planned. They knew chaos was going to ensue. And this is a result. And I think it's important that we figure out who was signing the auto pen, who was actually making these decisions. Because these are the people that we need to hold accountable for what's going on right now.
Well, we're not holding them accountable. There are no hearings scheduled.
Not yet.
Right.
I'm guardedly optimistic that's going to happen. But how about accountability starting in your backyard, Chicagoland? We need to hold the Biden's inner circle accountable. I agree, and we can have that conversation. But what do you want to do in Naperville 203? What do you want to do in the Deerfield School District? What do you want to do for this family in Lake County who's, who lost their daughter and sister and so forth? About the SAFE-T Act, about the sanctuary city and sanctuary state designations, about the tax increases, about the confiscatory property taxes that rob you of the equity you build in your home, about the cost and access to state schools as Illinois families are put in second or third position behind foreign nationals paying full freight, even though you're subsidizing those state schools and they have a land grant charter that says prioritization is for Illinois residents. What about that accountability? How about at CPS? We got another investigation. Good for NBC5. Maybe somebody is listening to me. Former Chicago public school students say they were groomed. NBC5 interviewed 12 women who graduated from Little Village Lawndale High School between 2009 and 2019. Most of them have asked to have their identities withheld due to the sexual nature of what they allege transpired. The allegations involve various teachers and administrators, all of who have resigned or were fired amid allegations of misconduct. Since 2017, just at this one school campus, at least seven teachers or administrators from Little Village Lawndale High School have resigned or were fired from the district amid allegations of serious misconduct. One a year? That's like alder humans going to jail in the city of Chicago. That's a pattern, isn't it? So, where are my Me Too folks? Where are my feminists?
There were 500 cases and no one picked up on it.
Yeah, for the 2018 Betrayed series that the Chicago Tribune did. It accidentally lurched into an insight and some journalism. We appreciate it.
David Jackson was a real journalist.
Where are the North Shore and Tony West Suburban housewives to take up this for these girls? District show, and this is perfect too, the Dance of the Lemons. This is Teachers Union 101 right here. District records also show at least 2 of the educators placed on the district's temporary do not hire list. CPS's do not hire list. You know who hired them? They're working in a suburban district while still under investigation. Suburban district, it's not disclosed. I mean, this after years and years and years. We'll talk about the Catholic Church, fine, but we won't talk about CPS. And nobody wants to take this up. Where are all these alderhumans who represent these wards, these residents, state legislators, all the state officials, the power structure such as this? These are people of color. Young women of color, largely. And the specific names have been put forward. Some have. Anna Solano graduated from Little Village Lawndale High School in 2012. Within a year, she began a relationship with her former sociology teacher, Dennis Cass, no relation, Golden Apple award-winning educator and attorney who taught sociology and ran a legal clinic at Infinity High School. And then other students are saying the same thing about this Dennis Cass and the pattern of grooming. That's the headline of the story. Former Chicago School CPS students say they were groomed. Does anybody want to dig into this, or you just want to watch the P. Diddy trial? We need to hold P. Diddy accountable. CPS, no, not so much.
Well, point well taken. And look, they don't want to touch anything. They don't want to involve themselves because that might ruin their social cred. They're all about the schools until they have to be about the schools, but they're not about the kids.
And you don't worry about the Safety Act until somebody, I mean, it's just that I know they just beat this drum relentlessly, but what else can you do? What else should we do except try to put a spotlight on this? A Safety Act is fine, and you can indulge the sophistry of these disingenuous, craven politicians until somebody you care about winds up in a garbage can for more than a month in Waukegan, and the guy is walking around because Eric Reinhardt says he doesn't pose a safety threat or a flight risk.
More U-Hauls leaving Illinois every day.
Rich, Indian Head Park.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, John. How you guys doing?
Hey, Rich.
What I wanted to say is these Democrats, they keep gaslighting the American people that they're not the ones that caused the problem at the ICE detention center. They're trying to blame the ICE agents for...
It's on video, Rich.
When it yeah, I know. When it shows on video that they're the ones that caused the whole problem. This is what I'm trying to say is, how can they go on these programs and say that it was ICE's fault when it's on video that they're the ones that caused the whole problem?
Yeah, thanks for the call, Rich. And right behind MacGyver is Governor Rumpshaker. He's coming for ICE on behalf of his people, those TDA gangbangers.
But A+ got a surprise that's a backbreaker. Now let me see you shake it up like a rump shaker. All I wanna do is zoom, 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 and a boom, boom. All I wanna do is zoom, 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 and a boom, boom.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Business owners, now's the time for your business to make the move to a locally owned business bank. Hi, Mike Gallagher here to let you know that you don't have to look far. Signature Bank was founded in Chicago with a simple mission to help companies like yours grow, succeed, and thrive. Their decisions are made locally by a terrific team that knows your name, cares about your business, and invests in your success. That's why Signature Bank is my bank. I'm a customer. As business owners, they knew that local family-owned businesses were not getting the help they needed or deserved. So I invite you to reach out to my friends at Signature Bank today. Write the number down. Remember this phone number, Signature Bank, 773-467-5630, and learn all about this great bank, 773-467-5630, or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. That's signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank makes commercial banking personal. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Are you planning to remodel your kitchen, bathroom, basement, or whole home? Explore why homeowners call Forever Remodeling the remodeling machine. With over 2,000 completed projects, our expert designers, project managers, and installers work together like clockwork, delivering stunning results on time and on budget. From creative design to detailed installation, we build beautiful, functional spaces without the stress. Call Forever Remodeling today at 847-809-3355 or visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com to schedule your free in-home design consultation.
AM 560.
The Answer.
Coming up at 7:07, we'll talk to our friend and economist Stephen Moore about that big bill that was just voted on the House. Voted out of the House, I should say. How beautiful is it really? That is 7:07. And the bottom of the 7 o'clock hour, we'll have our friend Professor William Jacobson from Cornell Law back, and we'll talk about the assassination of those 2 Israeli embassy workers, among other topics. It is now 7 a.m., AM 560 WIND.
House Republicans did it. Barely. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
On this vote, the yeas are 215, the nays are 214.
Approving about an hour ago what they call one big, beautiful bill to fund President Trump's agenda, sending the bill to the Senate where Democrats can't filibuster or block it. And House Speaker Mike Johnson says the goal is to approve it there
by Independence Day on July 4th, and we are going to celebrate a new golden age in America.
Fox's Aisha Hosni reports from the Capitol. This is a big part of the bill.
It makes permanent those Trump 2017 tax cuts. That means that your taxes will not be going up next year. No taxes on tips. That's in there. No taxes on overtime. That's in there as well. Border security, more funding to hire more and more ICE agents to continue President Trump's deportation policies.
2 Republicans joined all the Democrats voting no, and another GOP lawmaker voted president, which isn't a yes or a no. Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries says spending cuts in the bill and a new work requirement for Medicaid means
what we're likely to see is at least 13.7 million people are going to lose their health care.
And many more, he claims, will no longer get food assistance. In Washington, D.C. last night. That's the accused gunman in a deadly shooting outside the Capitol Jewish Museum. In a video Shine with Israel posted on Instagram capturing when he was being taken into custody by police. The 2 people killed were Israeli embassy staffers. Israel's calling it anti-Semitic terror. Here's Ambassador to the U.S. Yahil Leiter.
The young man purchased a ring this week with the intention of proposing to his girlfriend next week in Jerusalem. They were a beautiful couple.
The manhunt continues for a 7th day in Louisiana for 5 escaped prisoners still on the run. 5 others who broke out last Friday have already been captured. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 50 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. The Chicago City Council is once again delaying a vote on the proposed SNAP curfew for minors downtown. Alderman Brian Hopkins believes the proposal will eventually be approved.
It delays the inevitable. You just saw 15 aldermen who said that they did not want to vote today, which means 35 did.
With the parliamentary maneuver yesterday, the vote was postponed to the June 18th meeting. The proposal would give the Chicago Police Superintendent and Deputy Mayor the ability to suddenly call a curfew in the event of a large teen gathering. The ordinance was in response to a number of teen takeovers that have led to violence in downtown. It's unclear whether Mayor Johnson will veto the measure if it passes. The Chicago Housing Authority is welcoming a new staffer to head up a new division. Elizabeth Poole will be the director of Health Homes with a focus on environmental concerns and hazards for public housing residents. She was previously a staffer with the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency as a children's health coordinator. Poole and her new staff will take on the task of addressing lead paint hazards. A woman is in trouble with the law after she's accused of squirting another person in the eye with salsa during a dispute at a restaurant in Joliet. Jennifer Casillas has been charged with battery and aggravated battery. The incident happened on April 25th at Los Comales restaurant on Collins Street. A warrant was issued for her arrest. There's no word on what led to the alleged attack or if the suspect has been arrested. News is a service of Quick Delivery Service. Make Quick Delivery Service your personal ground crew anytime, anywhere, anyplace when you need to move your shipment or freight. Quick Delivery will get it there. Get a quote in advance and eliminate any surprises at quickdelivery.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
WIND, Chicago. It's almost time for AM 560's annual golf outing, presented by Signature Bank. And once again, AM 560 is proud to partner with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation as they support America's first responder and military heroes, including homeless veterans, and to help America never forget 9/11. It's all happening on Wednesday, June 18th at McCray Memorial Golf Club in Barrington. Enjoy a full day of golf, meals, an awards reception, and a silent auction. Reserve your foursome today at 560theanswer.com/golf.
Heroes like Austin Reese have paid a high price for our freedom. Austin served 3 deployments to Iraq. He spent 13 years with the Navy Explosive Ordnance Disposal Unit and became a military freefall instructor. But in what was thought to be a routine jump, something went terribly wrong. Austin was left paralyzed. Tunnel to Towers built Austin a specially adapted smart home. Help heroes. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288.
Hi, Amy Jacobson here. With the crime we're seeing in Illinois, I know how important it is to keep my home and my family safe. That's why I chose Goldilocks for my home security. One of their awesome technicians just came over and gave me a free assessment of my home. They found vulnerabilities that intruders typically look for and created a personalized plan for me. Goldilocks offers state-of-the-art smart home security systems with HD cameras, motion detectors, smart locks, mobile notifications. As you know, crime in Illinois is out of control, and I'll sleep easier knowing that Goldilocks has my back. They even offer commercial security systems for any size business. Tell them Amy Jacobson sent you, and Goldilocks will include 3 months of monitoring for free with any new install. Call Goldilocks today at 708-889-5600. That's 708-889-5600. Or visit them online at GoldilocksInc.com. That's GoldilocksInc.com.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. The Supreme Court heard a case last week on birthright citizenship that's also given them an opportunity to rule on the legal concept of nationwide injunctions. This is when one federal judge stops the president from enacting a particular policy nationwide. These universal injunctions are one more form of lawfare being used against President Trump. 32 injunctions were issued against the Bush, Obama, and Biden administrations combined, while there were 64 in the first Trump administration alone. In his second term, there were 17 in just the first 2 months. The justices seem closely divided on the case, but nationwide injunctions are a true threat to democracy. They allow partisan activists to thwart the will of the people by filing one case with an ideologically aligned but unelected judge. That's a terrible way to run a judicial system and a representative democracy.
From the Team Hawkburg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 24 minutes. Outbound, 14 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne interchange, 24 minutes. Outbound, about 35 minutes. On the Eisenhower, inbound from Wolf to the old post office, 28 minutes. Outbound, 25 minutes. On the Stevenson, inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 35 minutes. Outbound, 24 minutes. And on the Dan Ryan, inbound from 95th to the Burn Interchange, 18 minutes. Outbound, about 11 minutes. Traffic is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at almostfreeteeth.com, making smiles great again. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check out your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today, mostly cloudy and cool. Couple of showers around. The high today, 58. Partly cloudy, chilly night. Low tonight, 44. Clouds and cool tomorrow. The high, 62. And then clearing skies tomorrow night, low 43. Partly sunny on Saturday. The high, 63. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning, John Cass, johncassnews.com. You got to turn the microphone on. So people
always get a good cup of common sense.
Well, how much common sense is contained in the big bill, and how much beauty for that matter, the big bill that House Republicans just passed by a single vote. The Wall Street Journal overnight had some changes, modest changes to the BBL, Big Beautiful Legislation, or BBB, B cubed. House Republicans were accelerating Medicaid work requirements and ending many energy tax credits by 2028. Did that get in? Extending expiring tax cuts, creating new ones, increased spending for border security and defense. The no tip on taxes. You could deduct taxes up to $25,000. That's what the Senate passed. So let's get some detail on this. Find out where that SALT deduction that blue state Republicans were holding out for wound up, and what the net is on all of this. To help us with this, we're pleased to be joined by Stephen Moore, economist, author of The Trump Economic Miracle and the Plan to Unleash Prosperity Again. Steve, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Steve.
Well, good morning, guys. And boy, what a victory that was last night. It was by one vote. It was a total nail biter. It went to we in the morning to get that last vote. I want to do a shout out for Johnson. I thought he did an amazing job herding the cats to get to 218. It was brutal.
215, actually. But anyway,
look,
let me just. I'm a resident of Indiana. I'm a resident of Indiana, so I got to know right now. Are my taxes going to go toward helping Mike Lawler's reelection in New York?
Well, listen, we'll see about that. But look, I want to make one major point about this bill, which I think is important. This is a huge step in getting this thing passed. This is a big hurdle. I think it may very likely we're going to get a big, beautiful bill at the end of the day. Now, I have to confess, I've just been looking through the fine print of this is a 1,000-page bill.
Yeah.
So Lord knows what they stuck into it. So I think today we should basically just celebrate this good news. Now, is there stuff in this bill I don't like? Of course there is. I hate what they did with the blue state, the blue state billionaire bailout, which is basically what the SALT thing is about. I'm not happy that they're phasing in a lot of the spending cuts. Should there be more spending cuts? Of course they should. The budget over the next 10 years is supposed to grow by $87 billion, and under this bill it grows by $85 trillion. I mean, come on. Is that a big, ruthless cut in spending? No, but it is important because this averts a $4 trillion tax increase next year, which would have been devastating.
Right. And so did it? I mean, are you clear or unclear at this point? Did it wind up that the SALT deduction was quadrupled to $40,000 to satisfy the Lawler contingent, if you will?
Yeah, no, I mean, this is pathetic. There should be no state and local tax deduction. There's no reason people should be able to deduct their state and local taxes off their federal taxes. All that does, Dan, is just encourage states and localities to raise their taxes. So it's a bad policy. The thing about Lawler and these blue state Republicans is that they don't understand that 85 to 90% of their constituents got a tax cut in this bill. And so why would you hold up a bill that's going to give 90% of your constituents a tax cut for the 10% of the richest people in your district? It just makes no sense. But look, this is 40,000 way too much, by the way. 40,000 means, a lot of people don't even pay $40,000 in taxes.
A lot of people don't pay anything in taxes. But
exactly.
Yeah, right.
A lot of people don't pay any income tax. So this really is a big bailout for the people in Chicago. Who, if you want to live in Chicago, you want to live in Illinois. I'm from Illinois. I love the state. If you want to pay high taxes, stay there. If you're fed up by the high state and local taxes, which you should be, take it up in Springfield. Don't come to relief from Washington D.C.
The market yesterday fell off a bit, and this was attributed to the auction of 20-year debt with a face value of $16 billion because there was soft demand. So yields spiked and the bond market got a little bit jittery. They're suggesting that the market is saying, Republicans are poised to, continue with ballooned deficits and piling up debt, and this is the problem, and this is what Democrats are trying to seize on, and then all of a sudden they're deficit hawks. But the real concern here is, it seems to me, is where does the growth come from? And frankly, the tax relief, extending that tax relief is part of that answer.
Well, it's a good point you're making, because this is a big victory for avoiding a big tax increase next year. But with the exception of a few things like no tax on tips, this bill really doesn't cut anybody's taxes. It just avoids a big tax increase. So you raise a good question, Dan. Where is the stimulus going to come from in this bill? I think that we should have done the 15%. So in other words, provide relief for the state and local tax deduction. Why not just cut the rates more? Why not just make it a fair system for everyone? So that's where we are with this, though. I have to say, I got to give a shout out to Speaker Johnson. I think he did an amazing job herding these cats, getting this done. We had our Tax Cut Victory Alliance, and that was a big deal where we got so many of these. We had to literally hold these guys' hands, say, "It's okay, you can do this." You're not executing for a tax cut, but there were a lot of nervous Nellies, so it's a good day though for America, and I think now we are going to get this tax bill done. It's going to the Senate. I think the Senate will improve it, Dan. I really. They will cut rates more. I think they'll. They're not going to trim. They're not going to allow this 40,000 exemption for blue state residents, because guess what? There's not a single member of the Senate who is a Republican who represents a blue state.
That's a really good point. That is a really good point.
Why would they vote for a big? Why vote to bail out? And not one Democrat in the Senate is going to vote for this bill. Incidentally, not one single Democrat in the entire House voted for this tax bill, which means that every single Democrat in the United States Senate and House voted to raise people's taxes in January. And I'm not talking about rich people. Middle-class people are going to see a $2,500 increase in their taxes if we don't pass this thing. So people need to get the facts straight here.
Yeah, no, those are excellent points. That's why we have you on the show, to make those excellent points.
I hadn't thought of that.
But in addition to that, so what is your perspective on Trump's perspective on this? I know he wanted to get it done. He went over to the Hill and helped Johnson whip the votes and stood with him and answered questions from the press and stuff. He was helping to twist arms for sure. But what's his sort of medium term perspective? This is the best we could do for now, but there needs to be some message coming out of that this is the best we could do for now, but there's a lot better we can do if we improve upon the balance of power in Congress. And I just wonder if we might get some sort of message like that from Trump at some point.
Trump's going to take a big victory lap right now. I mean, it's big and beautiful, according to Trump. And, look, this is a big victory for Trump. He went over to the House. He helped corral those votes. It is Trump's party now, for better or for worse. I don't always agree with everything Trump wants to do, especially not on tariffs. But it looked like it would be an incredibly heavy lift from the beginning, and it has been a heavy lift. I mean, look, folks, the Republicans only have a 3 or 4 seat majority in the House, so that means you've got a bedwetter coalition who doesn't want to vote for anything, and so this was a big victory. So people, if you're for tax relief, if you're for prosperity, this was a big step in that direction. And, next time we talk, we can go through all the bad things in the bill, because if you got a 1,000-page bill, I guarantee you there's bad stuff in there that we're not going to like.
Well, no, I know. Right. We can do that, and I'm sure we will. But I'm just thinking, so after you take your victory lap, then what's and depending on how well the economy churns, the last couple of quarters of this year into next year, there's going to have to be a forward-looking message, too, about ways that we can still improve upon performance. We can still accrue more investment of capital. We can still incentivize more productive risk-taking behavior. There has to be a forward-looking vision, too. You can't just rest on your victories when there's so much more room to grow. And so I just wondering, like, if anybody is, other than you and Kudlow and Laffer, is contemplating that and trying to sort of goad Trump in that direction.
Well, here's the thing, and then I've got to jump because it's a busy morning, as you can imagine. Here's what we could do. Only 9% of Americans itemize their deductions anymore, and those tend to be very, very rich people. And so here's what do you think about this, Dan? How about this? We just get rid of all the deductions, and then lower the tax rates across the board by, say, 20%. And you would have a much, much better tax system. You'd have lower rates, a broader base, no tax loopholes, and just go for it. And by the way, what are the Democrats going to say? How dare you take away all the deductions from millionaires and billionaires? I
agree.
So anyway, that's the next step. And
all right, we'll get him to put that marker down in the coming weeks, because he doesn't have to worry about re-election, so he's perfectly situated to do it. Stephen Moore, economist, author of The Trump Economic Miracle. Stephen, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it was a miracle. Okay, take care, guys.
Take care. And Stephen joins us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out, because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Guys, spring is here. Time for gatherings with friends, family, and outdoor activities. But how are you going to keep up if low testosterone is draining your energy? The answer, TRT with Synergen X and Low T Center. They might seem convenient, but many online TRT services can be a hassle to get started. You end up spending hundreds of dollars and wasting time, so don't fall for it. Trust the experts at Synergen X and Low T Center. That's who I trust. They've been changing patients' lives for a combined 25 years. They understand what guys need. They're in person and make it easy to get started. You can start today with a free consultation and free testosterone test. And the best thing about it, it's free. and fast. They have on-site labs to process your test quickly, and if you qualify, you can start treatment that day. They have locations across Chicagoland, and for guys looking to lose a few pounds, Synergenex and Low T Center make it easy with prescription weight loss medications. They do accept most major insurance, so you have no excuse. The offer is limited, so go right now to fixmylowt.com to book your appointment. That's fixmylowt.com. You'll be glad you did.
This is a special alert during this window replacement season. Don't get tricked by the cheapest offers and gimmicky ads. Now's the time to see and feel the difference of high-performance windows from Valdecas.
When it's time to consider new windows, siding, and doors for your home, you need to look no further. Sebastian Gorka here to tell you about Valdecas. Valdecas has been the trusted name chosen by thousands of homeowners, and they should be your number one choice too. But what's really behind the name Valdecas? Over 25 years of a team dedicated to providing you with the best customer service experience and products that truly bring value to your home. They are a Pella Platinum Elite Status certified contractor for a reason. They have an A+ rating with the BBB, as well as high ratings and positive reviews on both Google and Houzz. Schedule your free in-house consultation at valdecas.com.
Ask about their exclusive manufacturer warranties and their 10-year workmanship guarantee.
Don't wait. Book today at valdecas.com. For the best in class, it's Valdecas.
Why'd I go to the doctor? My heart would race just taking my son to practice. It didn't feel right. So I got checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
2 guys drove to work. Neither guy wore a seatbelt. One guy got a ticket. One guy didn't. The same 2 guys drove home. One guy wore his seatbelt. One guy didn't. One guy made it home. The guy not wearing his seatbelt didn't. Don't risk it. Click it or ticket. Paid for by NHTSA.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning, John Cash, JohnCashNews.com.
Hey.
You got any flights in your near future? You traveling at all over the summer?
I haven't planned on it. I am going to take my wife to dinner based on a Dan Proft recommendation.
Which one?
Les Nomades.
Oh, Les Nomades, excellent.
You like it?
Yeah.
It's our anniversary over the weekend. I heard you said the Duck L'Orange is good.
It's very good. That's a very good place. Now, if you don't, I mean, we
don't do it every day.
If you don't want to go to the city, you know, it's a great place. I mean, it's Oak Park, but it's still a great place. It's a great dining experience, and it's really unique in that area. I mean, nothing really compares to it.
What?
And it's been there for a long time, but it's like Les Nomades has still great. Hemingway's in Oak Park.
Oh yeah,
it's really good.
That is good.
All right.
And so's a steakhouse on Roosevelt Road.
Tom's? Oh no, that's North Avenue. Which steakhouse on Roosevelt Road?
I'm thinking of Golden Steer.
Okay. Yeah.
There you go.
All right. I love the old steakhouses, the Tom's. You know, where I grew up in Wheaton, we had the Viking, the Hamlet, that area. Those old-time steakhouses.
Golden Steer hasn't been decorated since Momo Giancana was in there.
Well, I mean, that's Tom's Steakhouse in Melrose, too. Same concept. All right, enough of this eating. So the reason I brought it up about traveling is because I'm going to play golf in Scotland next month.
Do you have your...
Kilt?
Your flying credential. What do you need?
Passport?
Passport.
Yeah, I do have a passport. I still have it from last year. Yeah, this time. I haven't lost it yet. And on the way out, I don't know why, but I have to go through Newark.
Oh.
And Newark has a bit of an air traffic control problem, which is making me a little jumpy, particularly...
You stop at a church on the way in?
Yeah, right. I used to fly into Newark a lot way back when I was seeing a young lady in New York, but I digress. But I'm a little concerned about it now. A 39-year-old New Yorker was the only air traffic controller on duty for Newark Liberty International when the system blacked out on May 9th, leaving planes stranded in the air for 90 seconds. We've talked about this, but the air traffic controller, who was the only one there, has provided more color to the Free Press. Speaking in detail for the first time, but anonymously for fear of criticism from members of the public, she tells the Times... The Times, I should say. I'm sorry. I think it's at the press. The Times. How her worst nightmare unfolded and why she's worried this is just the beginning of the crisis at America's second busiest airport. I don't think Newark is second busiest. But anyway, just before 4 a.m. May 9th, sitting at my desk at Air Traffic Control for Newark, the only operator on deck, it was my last late shift of the week. I felt tired but tried to remain alert. Then... all my frequencies cut out. Then my radar scope went dark. I could no longer see the dozens of planes that had dotted my screen seconds earlier. I had no way of tracking where any of the 4 aircraft I had been speaking to were, and I had no means to reach them. Oh no, I thought, it's happening again, because of course it happened on April 28th, just a couple weeks earlier, a 90-second communication outage so frightening that 5 of my fellow controllers ended up on 45 days of trauma leave. To be without eyes or ears in air traffic control for a full minute and a half is absolutely terrifying. But now here I was alone facing the same fate. And she goes on to say, do I think it's safe to fly from or to the airport? Let me put it like this. I deliberately avoid my own airport when booking flights, even if alternatives are more expensive and less convenient. This is not encouraging. If Newark's air traffic control problems don't get fixed, I believe it's only a matter of time before we have a fatal crash between two planes.
We got to call Steve the pilot. I know you're listening, Steve.
Yeah.
Steve the pilot is a captain, a commercial airline pilot. He should call in and explain this.
Well, I mean, it's not like there isn't general agreement. I mean, the Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, is saying the same thing. It's not like anybody's trying to sugarcoat this.
Right.
But, the details of this 90-second outage and what it was like for ATC and sort of the behind the scenes. And it's sort of like listening. It's sort of like when you find out a Chicago public teacher that your kids have is sending her kids to a private school. It's like when you find out the air traffic controller won't book a flight out of the airport at which he's an air traffic controller. It's a little bit concerning. Maybe I need to have Steve, the pilot, charter fly me out to Edinburgh.
Well, you know what? He would fly you out there because he's an avid angler, fly fisherman, and I hear the salmon fishing in Aberdeen is good.
Perfect.
Yeah,
he can fish while I golf and then fly me to and fro. All right, coming up we'll have to deal with this in more detail, but wanted to at least get people's propellers spinning, if you don't mind. Coming up at 7:37, we're talking to Cornell law professor William Jacobson about, first and foremost, about the assassination of those 2 Israeli embassy workers at an event last night, and what it says about the current climate on this big college campus called America, upon which we all reside. We'll start there with Professor Jacobson at 7:37. Now check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 50 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Home Depot does not expect to raise prices due to President Trump's global tariffs.
During this week's earnings call, Billy Bastick, Executive Vice President for the Big Box Store, had this to say.
In the marketplace, again, it's somewhat early days still, and I would just reiterate our position, as I mentioned, about not seeing broad-based price increases at the Home Depot.
CEO Ted Decker emphasized their focus on associates.
Because we know that if we take care of our associates, they will take care of the customer, and everything else will take care of itself.
While prices remain steady, some products may be removed from shelves because of the tariffs. I'm Liz Kennedy.
A Chicago man is in custody after he's accused of dragging a police officer with his car during a traffic stop on the west side. Malcolm Harris has been charged with attempted murder and aggravated battery use of a deadly weapon. The incident happened May 3rd in the corner of Madison and Kilpatrick. The officer was taken to the hospital in good condition. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Spring is here. It's time to get outside and enjoy the beautiful weather in a brand new scooter from Mars Medical in New Lenox. Come see and test drive their full collection of new and used power mobility devices for sale. Mars Medical carries full and travel size scooters from Pride Mobility and Golden Technologies. Inventory is moving out daily, so don't hesitate to pick out your new scooter today. And don't forget, Mars Medical also has lightweight and compact transport wheelchairs available for sale or rental use for those day trips to the zoo or to the park. Some units weigh as little as 19 pounds. Or improve your outdoor activities this spring with a Rollator walker. Mars Medical has over 7 models of Rollator walkers on the floor for purchase. Make this spring one to remember on the north side of Route 30 between Cedar and Vine Road in New Lenox. Or go to MarsMedicalSupply.com. Mars Medical, customer care that is out of this world.
Multiple IT or engineering professionals needed. Computer programmer, write computer programs using various technologies. Software developer, modify complex application programs from detailed specifications, design, test, and debug using various technologies. Must be willing to work anywhere in the U.S. Job locations are Aurora, Illinois, and various unanticipated client sites in the U.S. Specify title and mail resume to Glenesis Technologies Incorporated, 75 Executive Center, Suite 413, Aurora, Illinois, 60504. Attention HR.
Enjoy uninterrupted programming from Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson around the clock, all day, every day, including daily replays of Chicago's Morning Answer on Dan and Amy 24/7. Listen now at danandamy247.com.
Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime adventure. Set sail August 16th through the 23rd on the Patriots Alaska Cruise with me, Larry Elder, Mike Gallagher, plus special guests Jennifer Horn and Joe Piscopo. Experience breathtaking glaciers, fjords, and wildlife, all while diving into critical discussions about America's future with today's top political voices. Cabins are going fast. Text TRAVEL to 94878 right now to secure your spot before it's too late. Travel to 94878 right now to secure your spot before it's too late.
Give your liver the support it needs with Active Liver. Go to NORDICUSA.com, Amazon, or ask for Active Liver at your local CVS. New you, new Nordic.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 20 minutes. Outbound, about 18 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 40 minutes. Outbound, 33 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 37 minutes. Outbound, 29 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 38 minutes. Outbound, about 23 minutes. This report is sponsored by Wendy's new Frosty flavors. If you love Wendy's classic chocolate and vanilla Frosty flavors, they have some big news for you. They're announcing all new Frosty Swirl and Frosty Fusion flavors. So it's the same creamy treat you've always loved, now with the flavor refresh. A refresh on a classic, gotta be Wendy's, at participating U.S. Wendy's. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Clouds and cool, shower and spots today, high 58. Partly cloudy, chilly tonight, low 44. Clouds and cool tomorrow, the high at 62. Clear tomorrow night, low 43. Saturday, partly sunny with a high at 63. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Forever Remodeling. Stress-free and high-quality remodeling. View their stunning transformations online at the number 4everremodeling.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning, John Cass, johncassnews.com. You may remember him from such periodicals as the Chicago Tribune.
It's a periodical now. Yeah.
By the way, just to close the loop on our discussion of Newark and air traffic control and the problem with the system at this.
And your trouble getting home.
Well, going out, actually, as I was mentioning, next month I'm going to play golf in Scotland and flying through Newark to Edinburgh. And your friend and mine, Steve the pilot, I would avoid Newark like the plague. I don't like to hear that from a veteran
captain
of a commercial airliner. It's just like I don't like to hear the air traffic controller saying, I would not book a flight at the airport where I am an air traffic controller. That is not encouraging. All right, I'm going to have to see if one of my rich friends can get me out there.
Take a boat.
Means. Take my time.
Take your time.
Take a slow boat to Scotland.
Take a boat.
Maybe groundskeeper Willie. Get me. All right. This is an interesting piece. Speaking, now turning to the serious, speaking about what happened last night, the essential assassination of two Israeli embassy workers after this event last night. 30-something year old, Free Palestine, quote unquote, radical is apparently in custody as the suspect in the murder of these two young people, a young man and a young woman. I believe they were a couple.
And he's from Chicago, right?
The suspect.
Shooter.
Yeah. He, I mean, this is going to be, well, I mean, it's troubling on multiple levels, starting with the death and then getting into more of the cultural commentary here. But this is posted about this guy from the Party for Socialism and Liberation, who, according to one excerpt from an outlet called Liberation, the newspaper of the Party for Socialism and Liberation, he argued that the murder of Laquan McDonald and the Chicago bid for an Amazon headquarters are not separate issues, but connected. And no interest in going down that rabbit hole any further, but this is the sort of
mind.
Yeah, the mind of the person you're dealing with here. This is an interesting piece in the Journal from a sociology professor at Wayne State University. The alienated, quote-unquote, knowledge class could turn violent. And the comparison that the sociology professor makes is to what happened in the 70s. We know it well, the Weather Underground, because, of course, Bernardine Dorn and Bill Ayers got together, became a couple, and became academics. Bill Ayers, not just Obama confidant, but a tenured and now pensioned UIC professor, Bernardine Dorn at the Northwestern Family Law Clinic for eons.
And after generating how many innocent project verdicts? Yeah.
Remember the Weather Underground, of course, bombing federal buildings in the 70s to protest the Vietnam War. In West Germany, the Red Army faction waged armed resistance against what it saw as a fascist state. Italy's Red Brigades kidnapped and assassinated public figures, including former Prime Minister Aldo Moro. These groups shared a trait. Many members were highly educated, middle or upper middle class young people. They weren't the oppressed proletariat of Marxist theory, but the delusioned children of privilege in university lecture halls. Think about the kid that assassinated the United Healthcare CEO.
Yeah.
Same deal. The professor argues a similar dynamic could take root in the U.S. as the Trump administration downsizes public agencies, dismantles DEI programs, slashes academic research funding. It risks producing a new class of people who are highly educated but institutionally excluded. And history suggests this group of people may become a source of unrest and possibly violence. He cites historian Peter Turchin and his theory of quote-unquote elite overproduction. When societies generate more elite aspirants than there are roles to fill, competition for status intensifies. Ambitious but frustrated people grow disillusioned and radicalized. Rather than integrate institutions, they seek to undermine them. Revolutions, in this view, are often fueled not by the downtrodden, but by the downwardly mobile children of the elite.
I don't think I would tell the professor, I don't think the cuts are doing it. The cuts to these programs. They've created this class of monsters, and now we're reaping the benefits.
Yeah, I don't, and my sense from the piece is that he's not providing a rationalization or an excuse, but more of a description, and in part this will be their grievance, in part their grievance in terms of why they were radicalized, why they had to take this charge and this approach in advance of this sort of existential mission to free Palestine in this case, because according to some reports of what happened last night, the suspect that was taken into custody shouted "Free Palestine" before he opened fire, and then shouted "Free Palestine" again when he was being taken into custody.
Well, he'll maintain his status by doing murder.
Well, and you're right. I mean, I'm how quickly will the GoFundMe page be set up? Professor William Jacobson is a clinical professor of law and director of Securities Law Clinic at Cornell Law School, founder of LegalInsurrection.com and president of the Legal Insurrection Foundation, as well as the Equal Protection Project. Professor Jacobson, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on.
Your sort of reaction to what transpired last night and in terms of what we know at this point and sort of the larger cultural implications if what is being reported turns out to be accurate.
Yes, and that's a good admonition, because in many of these breaking news cases, what's reported maybe in good faith turns out not to be accurate. But based on what has been reported and based on what we think we know, this appears to be a radicalized far leftist from Chicago, part of the so-called, pro-Palestinian movement, who traveled to D.C. and shot 2 Israeli embassy staffers. A lot of people are saying he shot 2 Jewish staffers, but apparently one of them was a Christian Israeli, somebody who moved to, from Germany to Israel, served in the IDF there, is a devout Christian. And a Jewish staffer also from Israel. He may have, we don't know yet whether he thought he was shooting 2 Jews. So, I think people are being a little sloppy in some of the reporting and reactions, but it's likely he thought they were Jewish because it took place outside an event at the Capitol Jewish Museum. So you don't go to the event at the Jewish Museum thinking, asking for identification cards for employment. So he probably thought he was shooting 2 Jews. But there's a bigger point here, which is this is what's often referred to as the Red-Green Alliance. It's the merging of the far left, the extreme far left, and the Islamists uniting against Jews and uniting against Israel and uniting against the United States. And that's what people need to understand. These groups hate the U.S. every bit as much as they hate Israel, but it's not surprising they've turned violent because, as you pointed out, that's the history of these sort of movements.
Where are the fault lines, though? Thank you, Professor. This is John Cass. Where are the fault lines in the Red-Green Alliance, as you characterize it? Because the hard left is anti-religion, anti-God, seen as an anti-God thing. How does it proceed?
Well, it doesn't make sense logically, but things often don't because they should be diametrically opposed. But we've seen this for a long time. The Iranian Revolution in 1979 was a combination leftist Islamist revolution. As soon as they took over, the Islamists killed all the communists. And so there is a history to this, but they're united in their hatred of the West. They're united in their hatred of capitalism. They're united in their hatred of the United States, and they play it out in the last 20, 30 years as a hatred of Israel. So Israel has become the uniting mechanism around which they organize, even though they have absolutely nothing in common.
I wanted to get to a couple of the other topics. We sort of invoked your work yesterday on the program when we were talking about this Wall Street Journal piece about how some of these mid-college boom towns have gone bust, like Macomb, Illinois, where Western Illinois University is located. And, there are a lot of variables here, but one of them perhaps was the fact that Western Illinois was, fully on the DEI program, and that your Equal Protection Project raised the flag on 13 different scholarship programs at Western Illinois that were violative of I think, Title VI. And I just your take on what's happening at that sort of regional, mid-size metro area that is so interwoven with an Eastern Illinois, Western Illinois, and Northern Illinois, and similarly situated universities in other states.
Well, I think the higher ed bubble in many ways is popping. I'm not sure it's because of DEI and the pushback against DEI. Federal loan guarantees have allowed tuitions to skyrocket such that it's really not affordable now. And a lot of people are questioning the utility of a college degree because of that. But I think there is an aspect of it that they have built up bureaucracies, many of them, around DEI and around that sort of programming. I don't know that translates into the economic impact on the community. So I'm not sure about that, but they have created an unsustainable model built on federal student loan guarantees, the ability to increase tuition beyond inflation dramatically, and a bureaucracy and a culture on the campus which is now receiving very little public sympathy. So they have divorced themselves from the majority of the people in the U.S. who do not support the racialization of education. And they live in a bubble, and I see that because I teach at Cornell. People don't really understand why does so much of the country dislike us so much. They don't understand it, and they don't know anybody who voted for Trump. And so I think it's a combination of factors. There's no doubt that the higher ed bubble is bursting, and it's hitting smaller schools very heavily. And you also have to factor into that we're not producing children anymore. The college-age population is dropping, and that's hitting the smaller schools and the mid-level schools the hardest, the ones that maybe don't carry the credentials.
Yeah, and I mean, the other one of the many other variables is small or mid-sized regional areas like some of those I mentioned in Illinois have been hemorrhaging population as kids are leaving to go elsewhere. Either not necessarily to college, but including to college in other states, and so they get jobs in other states, and they're not coming back. So they've been shrinking on their own, and the university's shrinkage just sort of becomes a death spiral. Yeah,
and some of the brand name schools, the Ivy League schools, the top tier non-Ivy League schools. It's a credential, and people are still going to want the credential because they believe it helps them career-wise, and I believe that's probably true. Having Harvard on your resume, maybe up until the last 2 years, was considered a huge career enhancement, and people are willing to pay for it. Same with any of the Ivy League schools. You're not getting a better education at Harvard or Cornell than you could get at some other school. It's just that when you graduate, you have an alumni network, you have that recognition, you have all of those things. So those schools are going to be somewhat insulated. They also have large endowments, whereas it's the smaller schools. There's been a number of small colleges in New England that have closed, and that's devastating to these towns because a lot of these smaller towns are college towns. When the college closes, there's not much left employment-wise.
But when does somebody like Bill Ackman decide I'm not hiring from Harvard anymore? I'm not. When do they do that?
A lot of people say they're going to do that, but they don't. Okay, I mean, so I don't know what his practices are at his firm, but in general, I think there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, you should do that," but when push comes to shove, they still recognize those credentials. And it used to be, I mean, I'm so old, I remember when, being accepted into Harvard or Princeton or Cornell or any of those places was essentially a vetting process. It was so if you're an employer, Harvard and Princeton and Cornell have already done the vetting for you. That's no longer true. So I think that because of the degradation of those institutions, there will come a time when it won't carry that credential weight, but that time has not come yet.
Is it your view that the culture on campuses is shifting along with the larger culture when it comes to DEI and counting by race? And I ask the question because it seems like we have an interesting case study in the offing with Ben Sasse leaving the University of Florida as president. The sole finalist for the job is the current president of the University of Michigan, Santa Ono, who built the massive DEI infrastructure at Michigan and was not exactly a profile encouraged during the anti-Israel and largely anti-Semitic protests and sit-ins and die-ins and all the rest of it that were going on college campuses, including at the University of Michigan. I wonder if, we'll see somebody like him fold into what the culture at University of Florida was under Ben Sasse, or, this is still very much a pitched battle.
Well, that's a odd choice.
Yeah, I'd say.
Florida. Yeah. With all that's going on in Florida in education and higher education and the Stop Woke Act and things like that, that's a very bizarre choice. And I wonder whether it will go through because there's blowback starting. But my guess is he's going to have to promise to toe the line and be part of the new Florida and new education. So I think that that's just an odd situation, why you would appoint somebody who built up one of the largest DEI bureaucracies in history in the country. I think the statistics were over 10 years, they spent $250 million just on DEI staff. That wouldn't include all the other DEI things they do. And the New York Times, of all places, ran a story about it, about how the prevailing view is that it failed. It actually made things worse. Mm-hmm. So why would you bring somebody like that to Florida? Makes no sense. But if he's going to survive there, in his job, he's going to have to, I think, get in line. And so I think there is a change afoot, not everywhere, but in some places, particularly so-called red states. I don't think anything's changing in Illinois or New York or California, but in much of the country, it is changing.
One other related story, and you co-authored an op-ed on the topic for the New York Post. I just wanted to have you update our listeners. The Ames v. Ohio case and the importance of this case for ending reverse discrimination.
Yeah, well, that's a curious case, a potentially huge case, because it's a woman who claimed discrimination on the basis that she was heterosexual, and not your usual discrimination case. And the question is, because there's this old rule which requires that if you're part of a majority group, so heterosexuals or whites, you have an extra burden of proof. You need to prove that your employer had a pattern of discriminating against the majority. And she couldn't prove that, and so he tossed her out, and it went up to the Supreme Court. And I am hesitant to predict anything based on oral arguments, but it seems like we might have a 9-0 verdict here because everybody was hostile to this concept that reverse discrimination is somehow different than regular discrimination. Why shouldn't we just apply the regular discrimination test? Why should it matter whether you're majority or minority? And so, and one of the points we made, because we filed an amicus brief, so-called friend of the court brief, which we don't know, we think Justice Alito alluded to during his comments, which said, maybe in 1981 when this rule was developed, it was rare to have discrimination against the majority, but it's no longer rare. In fact, at the Equal Protection Project, it's what we do every day. We've now challenged 400 discriminatory programs that discriminate against the majority.
Well, that's going to be bad news for Brandon Johnson here in Chicago if the case goes as you anticipate. Professor William Jacobson, clinical professor of law and director of the Securities Law Clinic at Cornell Law School, founder of LegalInsurrection.com, president of the Legal Insurrection Foundation, as well as the Equal Protection Project. Professor Jacobson, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
Great, thank you.
And he joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
8 years. It has been 8 years since QC Kinetics has been the nation's leader in non-surgical relief for joint pain. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and this is remarkable. Using regenerative cell therapy to restore tissue in your achy joints. These are biologic growth factors with robust healing properties, carefully and strategically placed in your joint. Listen, it's a powerful and potent way to give your joints the new life and repairing old tissue. Best part, there's no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime. This is an all-natural option with lasting relief. Imagine doing all the things you enjoyed this summer without joint pain. Here's what I want you to do. Contact my good friends at QC Kinetics and ask for your free consultation. You have nothing to lose. Saturday appointments available. The number to call is 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Reliability isn't optional when business security is on the line. It's essential. Businesses trust alarm detection systems for the highest level of service and expertise. Think about the time you could save using one source for cameras, keycard access, fire and intrusion systems. ADS offers expert alarm installation and testing by highly trained technicians, 24/7 professional monitoring, same-day or next-day service upon request because downtime isn't an option, dedicated teams for cameras, access control, and fire alarms. More than 300 security professionals working for you. Choosing ADS means your business stays protected and will be ready to open tomorrow. They combine human monitoring with the latest AI camera technology to prevent crime in real time. Trusted by small and large businesses, including many Chicagoland schools, their security experts will review your system for free. Go to adsalarm.com and schedule your appointment today. That's adsalarm.com. Alarm detection systems, the first choice of Chicagoland businesses, including here at AM 560 The Answer and Salem Media Chicago. Alarm detection systems, adsalarm.com is that website, adsalarm.com. Alarm license 127-000-143.
AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up at 8:08, we'll talk to Daniel DePetris, who argues don't blame Trump if he gives up on Russia-Ukraine peace deal. It is now 8 a.m., AM 560 WIND.
A big boost for a big, beautiful bill. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what Republicans call what they approved a few hours ago.
Today, the House has passed generational, truly nation-shaping legislation.
House Speaker Mike Johnson says that bill that barely passed, 215 to 214, will
reduce spending and permanently lower taxes for families and job creators, secure the border, unleash American energy dominance.
2 Republicans voted no, joining all the Democrats who claim spending cuts to key programs will take food assistance away from millions of Americans, and millions more will lose health coverage, and cuts to Medicaid and new work requirements. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries also says
this one big, ugly bill will also set in motion a $490 billion cut to Medicare.
Democrats can't filibuster or block the bill in the Senate. President Trump urged Republicans there to pass it as soon as possible. The bill includes extending the 2017 tax cuts, and the president also touted in a Truth Social post 2 other provisions: no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. In Washington, D.C.,
we will not tolerate anti-Semitism.
Mayor Muriel Bowser, after a young couple about to be engaged, was shot and killed last night. The accused gunman chanted "Free, Free Palestine" when being arrested.
The couple who worked at the Israeli embassy here in Washington gunned down at the Capitol Jewish Museum. The Israeli government identified the victims as Yaron Lishinsky and Sarah Milgram, calling them friends and colleagues, described the shooter as a terrorist. President Trump posting, quote, "These horrible D.C. killings based obviously on anti-Semitism must end now."
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson. A disaster in San Diego. A small plane crashed into a neighborhood early this morning, spilling jet fuel everywhere, setting 15 homes on fire, leaving to many evacuations. It's not known if anyone was hurt or killed on the plane or in a house. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 51 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Mayor Johnson says he's done all he can to keep the Bears in Chicago. He reacted yesterday for the first time since the team recently announced that they will focus on building a new stadium in Arlington Heights. Johnson added that he's not given up on proposed sites on the lakefront or the property where the former Michael Reese Hospital was located. Meanwhile, Governor J.B. Pritzker says he's not against state funding for a stadium, but it must be a benefit to taxpayers. A Chicago man is accused of stabbing a 64-year-old man to death on the west side. Christian Gardner has been charged with murder. Police say the crime happened Monday morning in the 2400 block of West Glades Avenue. Gardner allegedly got into an argument with an older man in an alley where he pulled out a knife and stabbed him several times. The victim was taken to the hospital where he died. And a Chicago man is accused of shooting and killing 2 Israeli embassy staff members outside of Washington, D.C.'s Capitol Jewish Museum. Police say Elias Rodriguez was taken into custody following the shooting last night. He shouted "Free Palestine" while being arrested. Officials say Rodriguez was pacing the area shortly before the shooting and waited for the group of people to leave. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com, making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes, but now time for the Signature Bank Business Beat.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
BJ's Wholesale says it's standing by its forecast for the year. The big box retailer says it was seeing increased membership and traffic in the recent quarter. Online sales rose 35%. Walmart is planning to cut 1,500 corporate jobs. The Wall Street Journal reports the company's restructuring in the U.S. to cut expenses and speed up decision-making. A Walmart spokeswoman says layoffs are not related to tariffs. Canada-based TD Bank is reporting a weaker profit for the recent quarter. Its full name, Toronto Dominion. TD says it stockpiled money in the period to cover for potential bad loans in an uncertain economic environment. Running and exercise app Strava has lined up funding of $2.2 billion. The app jumped in popularity during the pandemic. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola. Invested in you.
So, what'd you call me over here to see, buddy?
Well, wait till you see the new set of wheels
Whoa, would you look at this garage floor? Wow, buddy, is this a new coating?
Well, yeah, but...
It's so smooth and shiny. It looks like a showroom in here. Wow, it looks easy to keep nice and clean, too.
Yeah, it is, but...
Man, I've been thinking about getting a new coating. This is a sweet-looking garage floor.
You happen to notice my new Corvette?
Oh, huh. That's cool, too.
Level 10 Coatings, Chicagoland's premier concrete coatings company. We can improve the look of your garage, basement, office, or outdoor space with customized concrete coating solutions. As Chicagoland's only certified Cimarron installer, we're setting industry standards. Level 10 Coatings uses polyurea and polyaspartic coating, which is stronger than epoxy. Turn your ugly garage floor into a showroom floor this spring. Mention Amy Jacobson to receive $500 off any new project. Visit level10coatings.com to schedule today or call 855-510-2628. Level 10 Coatings, your premier concrete coating experts.
Hi, Amy Jacobson here. With the crime we're seeing in Illinois, I know how important it is to keep my home and my family safe. That's why I chose Goldilocks for my home security. One of their awesome technicians just came over and gave me a free assessment of my home. They found vulnerabilities that intruders typically look for and created a personalized plan for me. Goldilocks offers state-of-the-art smart home security systems with HD cameras, motion detectors, smart locks, mobile notifications. As you know, crime in Illinois is out of control, and I'll sleep easier knowing that Goldilocks has my back. They even offer commercial security systems for any size business. Tell them Amy Jacobson sent you, and Goldilocks will include 3 months of monitoring for free with any new install. Call Goldilocks today at 708-889-5600. That's 708-889-5600. Or visit them online at GoldilocksInc.com. That's GoldilocksInc.com.
Heroes like Austin Reese have paid a high price for our freedom. Austin served 3 deployments to Iraq. He spent 13 years with the Navy Explosive Ordnance Disposal Unit unit and became a military freefall instructor. But in what was thought to be a routine jump, something went terribly wrong. Austin was left paralyzed. Tunnel to Towers built Austin a specially adapted smart home. Help heroes. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 22 minutes. Outbound, 22 minutes as well. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 45 minutes. Outbound, about 46 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 43 minutes. Outbound, 32 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 37 minutes. Outbound, it's about 27 minutes. And on the Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Byrne Interchange, 27 minutes. Outbound, about 12 minutes. Traffic is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com, making smiles great again. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today, mostly cloudy and cool. Couple of showers around. The high today, 58. Partly cloudy, chilly night. Low tonight, 44. Clouds and cool tomorrow. The high, 62. And then clearing skies tomorrow night, low 43. Partly sunny on Saturday. The high, 63. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering smart security systems to homes and businesses. Call Goldilocks at 708-889-5600.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning, John Cass, johncassnews.com, where you get John's commentary on the passing scene, the Chicago Way podcasts, and
Free. $50 a year for everything, and column just made Real Clear Politics, so it's gone national again. It's called, they call it Democrat Scandals Keep Growing. But I tend to think it's two scandals. One, that the American people are embracing subjugation by not being in the streets right now. And the second is, of course, Democrats would do as they do.
We can talk about that in part here, but certainly will with Michael Goodwin a little bit later in the hour. Our next guest has penned an interesting piece over at the American Conservative. Don't blame Trump if he gives up on Russia-Ukraine. Well, that's exactly what's going to happen if he gives up on Russia and Ukraine. All of those Ukrainian freedom fighters in suits inside the Beltway are going to say that, he was in service of Putin once again. He's Russian collusion hoax redux. I'm sure will be the response if peace is not achieved, and if it is, then it'll be, it was mostly because we set him up to close the deal. There is no shame inside the Beltway. We know this. But what is possible? What is the real state of affairs, at least, or the perceived state of affairs? I guess no one other than the principals can actually know. Is Trump and Rubio and the team, Witkoff, doing everything they can to try to negotiate an effective cessation of hostilities. Is there anything more that can be done? We talked to Cliff May, Foundation for the Defense of Democracies, the other day, and he suggests that a more aggressive posture is needed from the Trump administration in terms of sending more armaments to Ukraine to let Putin know that we are not going to roll over and allow you to slow walk us while you stay poised for your opportunity to storm Kyiv. That's what he said, but there are obviously a lot of viewpoints on this. Let's get Daniel DePietris's. He's a fellow at Defense Priorities and a syndicated foreign affairs columnist at the Chicago Tribune. The Chicago Tribune.
I remember that place.
Yeah. Daniel DePietris, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, Dan.
Morning. Thank you, gentlemen.
So don't blame Trump if he gives up. It sort of indicates, and your piece does as well, that even if he overestimated his powers of persuasion, he has put the effort forward, and his team have, to try to get to a cessation of hostilities and something that could endure. And at some point, there's only so much you can do, as he has so indicated.
Yeah, look, I mean, President Trump, obviously, during his campaign, one of his actually standing ovation lines was he was going to end the war in Ukraine very, very quickly. And, we could debate whether that was a realistic objective to begin with. But I think his objective was sincere, regardless of the whole I'll end it in 24 hours shtick, which I don't think anybody took seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And quite frankly, I don't think Trump didn't take that seriously either, even if he said it. Anyway, his objective was to stop the killing quickly and try to get, Putin and Zelensky, or at least their representatives, into a room to hash out a mutually agreeable compromise, right, to end the war. And to his credit, he's done that over the last 3 months. The problem, of course, is the irreconcilable positions between the two men. And regardless of how good of a mediator you are, if the combatants aren't willing to wheel and deal, then there's very little a mediator can do. And I think that's where we're at right now.
Dan, thanks so much for mentioning the fact that there are two combatants in this business. I'm concerned that Ukraine has not owned up to the fact that they're part of this too. They're just not victims. They can end it too, and they don't.
Right, and it's very difficult for us from the outside to kind of critique the diplomats in the room and say they should be doing this and this and this. But in this case, President Zelensky has been very, let's say, adamant that negotiations with Putin have been or would be kind of a fool's errand, right? That's basically been his line since the very beginning of the war. The only reason he's cooperating now, I would argue, is because Trump kind of embarrassed him in the Oval Office and laid down a red line saying, you better cooperate with us or else you're not going to get any more U.S. military support. And that worked. That worked to push him into the negotiations. The problem now, of course, is Putin. He's just got a very maximalist interpretation of what a deal should look like. So Zelensky used to be the hindrance to negotiations. Now I think Putin is probably the bigger hindrance.
Something you said at the beginning struck me, and I don't know why it hasn't struck me before, but you're right. And when you say that Trump continues to emphasize he wants to stop the killing, and he talks in some detail about it, how tragic it is, the hundreds of thousands of dead on both sides. And I just want to end the killing, which is a very humanitarian perspective. But it also it seems to me, maybe could be a bit of a geopolitical cudgel in the direction of Putin. And maybe it has been used. I mean, obviously I don't know all that has been said behind closed doors. But in the sense of saying, hey, Vlad, just understand something. I may not be inclined to send weapons to Ukraine right now because I'm trying to stop the killing. But just remember, I'm intent on stopping the killing. So that doesn't mean that I'm just going to leave and allow you to then take your sights, set your sights on Kyiv, because I know that would mean more killing. And I'm for stopping the killing. So I got a mineral deal with Ukraine, and I'm for stopping the killing. Just remember that as you, play out your hand in terms of what you think you're entitled to.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's very hard for me, at least, to kind of figure out what Trump's plan B is going to be if these talks kind of fall apart, which, quite frankly, they look like they're on their last legs. Trump's got a couple options. He could do what Clifford May suggested, which is essentially redouble U.S. military support to the Ukrainian army and hope that this pushes Putin to cooperate sincerely. I would argue that's probably a stupid way to go, only because we've kind of gone that way before over the last 3 years. And
Yes.
Putin has demonstrated that when he's pushed up against the wall, he doesn't back down. He redoubles his aggression.
Well, what economic leverage does Trump have on Putin right now?
Well, yeah, he has very little. He's got very little. The Europeans have quite a lot. The United States, though, we don't really trade all that much with Russia. We don't really buy Russian oil. The Europeans are still buying liquefied natural gas from the Russians at pretty significant volumes, right? So we've got this strange situation where, the European leaders are standing up and saying, we're going to do everything for Ukraine to make sure its sovereignty is defended. But then they're sending, billions of dollars into the state coffers in the Kremlin to buy gas.
Well, that's that's why Trump indicated. I mean, the reporting was that he basically told members of the EU, "Hey, look, you better change your approach because what we're getting from Putin is he thinks he's winning, and so he doesn't need to give in at all." As you said, the maximalist strategy that he's approaching. So it's maybe you're right. It's not us. It's not our problem. It's your problem because you're underwriting him.
Yeah, I think all along Trump did not want to get involved. He thought this war, U.S. involvement in the war, was dumb. He thought it was a horrible thing for the United States to do. He's talked about this repeatedly, that, this is at its core a European problem that needs a European solution.
MAGA base doesn't want anything to do with it. Yeah.
No, he doesn't. And I think, if I were a betting man, I would put my money on, he just walks away from the entire enterprise and leaves it to Europe to handle on their own. And I would argue that's probably a more morally just way of doing it than trying to shove a peace deal down the throats of the Ukrainians that they probably wouldn't implement anyway. So tough decisions ahead, and obviously Trump does not want to throw the towel in on this diplomacy yet. But I think in the next few weeks there may come a time where he just gets impatient and says, "The hell with it, I'm walking away."
Maybe he could get Vlad Putin to come to the Oval Office and show him a screening of Red Dawn and say, this is what's going to it's Ramaphosa style. You dim the lights, show him Red Dawn, and then you connect the dots. Maybe something like that will work.
What did you think of that episode at the White House yesterday?
What did I make of it? Every time I watch a Trump presser, there's got to be something entertaining with it. I had no idea he was going to turn the Oval Office into like a de facto, movie studio.
Right.
As far as the whole white genocide thing, I'm not up to tune in what is really happening in South Africa, but none of what Trump does now, it kind of surprises me. I think it's surprising to be unsurprised at this point. Trump is going to do what he wants to do. He treats television as if it's half the job. So
I think
don't know why people are shocked about.
No, I think he surprised Ramaphosa. I'll tell you that. Daniel DePietris, fellow at Defense Priorities and syndicated foreign affairs columnist for the Chicago Tribune. Dan DePietris, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Take care. And he joined us on the Turnkey.Provincial line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer. Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly. Each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160, Hope for Your Life.
You've worked hard and accumulated wealth, but you know the pitfalls involved in passing significant assets to your heirs. The team at Spahn Financial will help you feel secure with personalized financial planning to achieve your legacy goals. They anticipate and manage all your wealth planning needs and focus on the full financial picture, including tax efficiency, income distribution throughout retirement, philanthropic giving, estate planning, and more. They even help you prepare the next generation to be good stewards. Kevin Spahn is a 2025 Barron's Top 1200 financial advisor, and Spahn Financial is a Forbes Best in State Wealth Management team. Visit SpahnFinancial.com to schedule a consultation and to view disclosures. That's SPAHN Financial.com. Barron's Top 1200 Financial Advisors list, March 2025. Data as of 9/30/2024. Forbes Best in State Wealth Management team, January 2025. Data as of 3/31/24. No compensation provided for ratings. Marketing fees apply to promote ratings. Rankings and recognitions are no guarantee of future investment success.
8 years. It has been 8 years since QC Kinetics has been the nation's leader in non-surgical relief for joint pain. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and this is remarkable. Using regenerative cell therapy to restore tissue in your achy joints. These are biologic growth factors with robust healing properties, carefully and strategically placed in your joint. Listen, it's a powerful and potent way to give your joints the new life and repairing old tissue. Best part, there's no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime. This is an all-natural option with lasting relief. Imagine doing all the things you enjoyed this summer without joint pain. Here's what I want you to do. Contact my good friends at QC Kinetics and ask for your free consultation. You have nothing to lose. Saturday appointments available. The number to call is 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Robert Anderson, president of McLaughlin Body Company in the Quad Cities, and a customer of Signature Bank. When our 100-year-old family-owned manufacturing company was looking for a new bank, we found an excellent partner with Signature Bank. Signature Bank understands the challenges with manufacturing in today's highly competitive environment. We recently participated in a new markets tax credit program, and we're fortunate to have the experts at Signature Bank help us navigate the complexities of this program. With Signature Bank's support, we were able to expand not only our facility, but ultimately our business. If you're looking for a trusted banking partner for your business, look to Chicago's own Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and John Cass in for Amy J this morning. Jesse Waters is paying it forward. You know how Jesse Waters got to start being
Bill O'Reilly's guy,
man on the street guy, right? Well, now he's got a guy on his show, Johnny, yeah. You know your watch, okay?
Yeah, I watched that in Newsmax, both.
Really? I don't know. Most of the stuff is unwatchable for me. I have to say. I hate to break ranks, but anyway, Johnny on the spot. Actually, in this instance, this was a good call. He went to a Comey book signing. You know, he's got a new crime novel out.
It's called, what is it called? 86 the Fries?
He doesn't know what it means. Johnny went to the Comey book signing. Boy, talk about timing. And this was good.
to get his book signed. And maybe ask a question or two. Maybe get something else signed.
We wanted answers from Comey, so we sent Johnny to investigate the investigator.
Thank you for coming. Yeah, it's great to meet you. Director Comey, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Jesse Waters from Fox has a question.
Yeah.
Why do you want to 86 Trump?
All right.
He's laughing.
Director?
I'm not taking questions like that now.
Why would you...
Just sign the book.
Only Nicole Wallace. Only from Nicole Wallace.
Director Comey, how was your interview with the Secret Service?
You want the book signed, really?
Absolutely.
Okay, you got it, bud.
Can you sign my seashell, too? Which beach is this that you're going to? You find a Kamala seashell, 8647. This is a politically charged beach, Director.
Yeah, that's enough from Johnny. Then the bookstore heavies got involved.
Oh, did you see the security guard? Okay.
Yeah, well, Johnny wasn't there to put up a fight. He was there to embarrass Comey. And he did a wonderful job. Can you sign my seashell politically charged beach that you and your wife a lot of political sloganeering in the former shells. Yeah, okay, sure. Director, you wrote about Comey in Pertinent Part this week.
Yeah. I had 2 columns, and Comey is the deep state rat. And he's getting away with it. He's getting away with it, and the people, I guess, are accepting their subjugation, the American people, because they have. We're not out on the street right now rioting. We should be doing something more than just being upset. They took your government. They took it away. And we're just sitting there going, you deep staters, don't do that.
Well, yeah.
They took your government.
Well, but, we're not, the conservative set is not the take to the streets kind of group, generally speaking.
Well, there should be aspects of it, because you've talked about this.
Like a Tea Party sort of thing.
You've talked about this, about the lack of passion on behalf of Republicans in blue states like Illinois.
Maybe we should do more cigar nights. Have like a genteel gathering of the like-minded to properly and civilly discuss the
I would love to be at
the day.
Cigar night tonight, but I've quit smoking, and hanging out at a cigar night is not the right thing.
Yeah, we'll be at Gaelic Park tonight. Should be a good old time again. All right, coming up at 8:38, perfect segue. We'll build upon this and Cass's perspective on the American people accepting their subjugation. Michael Goodwin from the New York Post joins us to talk about, Comey, Biden, and the exchange between Martha MacCallum and Seth Moulton, who's a good reminder that military service alone does not a proper elected official make. We'll have that all at 8:38. Now it's time to check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 51 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. 2 Israeli embassy staff members are dead following a shooting outside of the Capitol Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C. Wednesday night. Nick Harper has more on the fallout.
We are already seeing outpourings of support, including from the US President Donald Trump, making it clear that he is denouncing this, saying that hatred and radicalism have no place in the United States, and saying that this anti-Semitism has to end now.
The suspect is in custody and is reported to have shouted "Free Palestine" while being arrested. Target says that price hikes will be the very last resort for offsetting tariffs. The comment comes despite the retailer reporting weaker than expected sales in its first quarter. According to Target CEO, the company has many levels to use in mitigating the impact of tariffs. Major retailers appear to be treading cautiously around the question of price hikes after Trump slammed Walmart for warning that shoppers could pay more due to tariffs. Security concerns are mounting at U.S. airports after drivers breach runways. Airports nationwide are reporting cases of vehicles ending up on or near runways. Recent incidents include a man crashing through a fence in Buffalo and a DoorDash driver roaming into restricted areas at Chicago's O'Hare. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants with medical PPO insurance? It's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
As you know, our friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of your life. He didn't stop by simply creating the best pillow. Mike created the best bed sheets ever. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for me, which is crucial for my busy schedule. Mike is offering the best deal on his Giza Dreams bed sheets. Any size and any color, just $49.98. That's right, you can even get queens, kings, split kings, and cow kings. Any size and any color, just $49.98. Order now because when they're gone, they're gone. Also, for a limited time, when your order is over $100, you'll receive $100 in free digital gifts. Call 800-489-0201. Use promo code LIBERTY or go to mypillow.com. Make sure you use the promo code LIBERTY for the amazing offer of $49.98 on the Giza Dreams sheets, any size and any color. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
Are you an administrator, staff member, or parent volunteer at a private school? Would you like to grow your current enrollment and welcome new families to your school? If so, we want to tell you about a great opportunity to help increase enrollment and promote your school to families all across Chicagoland. It's called ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com. They work to connect private schools with new families who are looking for discounted first-year tuition. In exchange, your school will receive a marketing campaign to help grow your enrollment. Chicagoland School Vouchers does all the work to bring new families together with your school and help you expand your reach. They've been working with schools across Chicagoland for over a decade. As the demand for school choice grows here in Illinois, your private school needs to take advantage of this program. To learn more, just visit ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com. That's ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com.
It's Dr. David Kolbaba. Hey, let me tell you about our age analysis assessment. It takes just a few seconds to scan for those advanced glycated end products that cause premature aging. And then we'll briefly go over your results and give you a few things for you to do to improve. And then we'll retest you in about 60 days. And you'll pay our special low price for your first assessment, and I'll pay for your second one. That's right, your follow-up age analysis assessment is on me. And we're going to compare your biologic age with your chronologic age, and then we're going to help you determine if your biologic age is on par with your chronologic age. But you got to make that call today, not tomorrow, but today. It's our HealthQuest radio hotline, 800-794-1855. That's 800-794-1855. Second assessment free if you make that call right now, 800-794-1855. It's HealthQuest Radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, Saturday mornings at 11.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Destination Retirement with Robert Kuhn, Sunday mornings at 11, sponsored by Kuhn Capital Partners in Naperville.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 19 minutes, 22 minutes outbound. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 44 minutes, outbound 28 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 38 minutes, outbound 34 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 42 minutes, outbound 28 minutes. And on the Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Byrne Interchange, 35 minutes, outbound about 12 minutes. This report is sponsored by Allstate. Some people just know you could save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Those people are probably saving a carload of cash right now. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Clouds and cool, shower and spots today, high 58. Partly cloudy, chilly tonight, low 44. Clouds and cool tomorrow, the high at 62. Clear tomorrow night, low 43. Saturday, partly sunny with a high at 63. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Top of the morning, Dan and John Cass in for Amy J this morning. JohnCassNews.com. You know, this all the swirl around the layers of covering up for the big guy.
And the anguish.
By all of the co-conspirators, elected officials, members of the D.C. press corps, Hollywood, you know, all the institutional elites, et cetera, et cetera. There's some real silliness here, though, too. Elaine Healy is a practicing geriatric physician and certified nursing home medical director.
Mm-hmm.
As a geriatric medical specialist, I thought this was a Babylon Bee story when Amy first raised this a day or two ago. That's, you know, people suggesting that he's a victim of elder abuse.
Right.
Elaine Healy, Dr. Elaine Healy, as a geriatric medical specialist, I'm all too familiar with the telltale signs of elder abuse. So as an alarmed citizen, I have referred former President Joe Biden to the Adult Protective Services Division of Delaware's Department of Health and Social Services as a likely elder abuse victim, naming Jill Biden, Dr. Kevin O'Connor, his doctor, and former Biden Chief of Staff Jeffrey Zients as possible perpetrators. What about Ron Klain? Elder abuse is an intentional act or failure to act by a caregiver or another trusted person that causes or creates a risk of harm to an older adult. She goes on, talking about a sinister type of elder abuse involving the exploitation of an elderly individual for the abuser's financial, personal, or in this case, political gain. It seems apparent that those closest to Joe Biden, people upon whom he was and remains dependent, usurped the power and authority of his office for their own benefit, while professionals who had duty to protect him failed to do so. Okay, this is ridiculous. Because the big guy, this strips the big guy of agency. It's
not his fault.
He was the top of the pyramid as it pertains to this hillbilly crime family from Wilmington, Delaware. He had agency. He had agency all the way along. And to try to offload this at this point, not, you know, this victim, he is a victim. It's all this cultural zeitgeist towards figuring out a way to make somebody a victim to get back at somebody else because you're trying to protect the person who actually did have agency and is party to the wrongdoing. This is silly.
It's all nonsense, or as we say in Chicago, bull crap.
Seth Moulton, also full of nonsense, or as we say in Chicago, bullcrap. Moulton on with Martha McCallum. This is so ham-handed. Trying to conflate. The same thing they tried in the run-up to the 2024 election. Trying to conflate Trump's mental acuity with Biden's. Seth Moulton really is shameless, and he is one of the congressmen who has been outed by Jake Tapper as having expressed serious reservations about Biden's mental acuity prior to the meat of the 24 election cycle, but of course didn't say anything publicly. And now he's trying to cover his backside just like everybody else in this crew.
You were with him on 2 different occasions and had serious questions about his abilities. 70 to 80% in 2 different polls, Wall Street Journal and CNN, of the American public said he can't mentally or physically do the job anymore. So really, I think this has become a question, and I think it's a valid question for all of the people concerned. Why was he able to still be the president at that point?
Here's my point. I saw him once.
at Normandy, and I had this question. But the people who saw him on a much more regular basis, his own cabinet officials never had that discussion, and yet Trump's cabinet did. So I don't understand why you're defending Trump when his cabinet was literally having a discussion about taking the presidential powers away from him, and yet Biden's cabinet, who saw him every day, didn't have that discussion.
I thought that discussion seemed ridiculous at that point, honestly, because there wasn't any indication that he wasn't capable, and certainly polls weren't showing that he wasn't capable. But I'm asking you.
Well, actually, if you don't follow the Constitution, you're pretty incapable, because you're supposed to actually uphold the oath that you swore to protect and defend the Constitution. So if you're going to defend January 6th, go ahead, go to the grave defending January 6th.
I completely
Boy,
understand.
how about shoehorning January 6th in this conversation? That's a quadruple bank shot.
All right, that's the point where I turn Fox News off, because they allow this crap.
Well, I mean, actually, you should platform a Seth Moulton as an exemplar of the preternatural dishonesty and shamelessness of the people that were involved in perpetuating all of these lies surrounding Joe Biden, and continue to do so, because the only way to keep people's attention is to keep this sort of silliness in front of them and hope that they want to visit some accountability on people like Seth Moulton and his political brethren. Michael Goodwin is a New York Post columnist. He joins us now. Michael, thank you for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's a pleasure, guys. Thank you.
So, I mean, you know,
great column, by the way.
Yeah, there's so much that has transpired over the last several days. Let's just give you the floor to offer sort of your summary of it.
The floor, huh? Okay. Look, I think there are so many elements to this that it is hard to get your hands around the whole thing. And, you know, it goes back, of course, to the Robert Hur interview with Biden in October of 23 that was just released, snippets of it just released in the last 10 days or so. And the White House, of course, and Merrick Garland, the Attorney General, refused to release the audio, although they had released an edited transcript. And the word edited comes into play here, because the audio really shows Joe Biden, what a train wreck he really was in that interview. And when Robert Hur reported that he basically wasn't going to indict Biden or recommend an indictment because no jury would ever convict such a pathetic old man with a poor memory. And the Democrats went crazy. This was, you know, he was a Republican plant, Hur, and you know, so now that we have this, the audio, and now that we have the diagnosis of cancer and these books coming out about, you know, what was going on behind the scenes, I dare say it looks worse than I think we could have imagined.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me is the main takeaway here, is that what was going on behind the scenes. We had inklings, we had visions, we had snapshots. Now we have the movie. And you see what was going on there. I mean, it really is a disgrace. It calls into question all kinds of decisions, including the commutations and pardons. I think more than 2,000. Who signed them? This issue of the auto pen, I think, is legitimately in play now.
Perfect.
And I think we're going to find more. More people now are going to be emboldened by these findings, and I think we're going to find more. I mean, the one thing that sticks in my mind that has, you know, came out earlier, but I think we're getting more detail now, is that the cabinet members couldn't even talk to him directly for the last year or so, that there were no cabinet meetings, really. And so who was running the government? How was the government? Was it just automatic pilot?
They couldn't talk. They couldn't talk to him, but they could go on CNN and MSNBC and talk about how probing and exacting he was.
Yes, I mean, that Mayorkas video that you're probably talking about, I mean, it's exhausting to go up against him. I mean, the details he demands, and they all said that kind of stuff. I mean, they all ought to face the music for this now. This is a very serious thing. The United States did not have a functioning president, and we know we didn't have a functioning vice president. So who the hell was running this place?
The two questions I would ask you is, number one, is Jake Tapper going to wear a trench coat and in the movie? Is he like a Humphrey Bogart character in the movie? And two, where is the American anger at their White House being taken away from them by the deep state? Where is the anger of the American people? Are they allowing themselves to be subjugated by just their go along, get along?
Well, I'll answer your first question first. I think yes, there will be raincoats, and we'll have to come up with a good title for that movie. All the President's Yes Men, perhaps. Or,
that's good.
But nobody saw anything. Look, John, you asked a good question about the public on this, and as always, there are active people engaged in this who care very much about it. Yes. Do they represent maybe 20% or 30% of the population? I think the other side of this, though, is even more worrisome, which is that I think most of the others have tuned out. They've tuned out politics. They've tuned out government, except as, occasionally when it hits them personally. But I think the cynicism toward government, particularly the big institutions in American life, whether it's, the Internal Revenue Service, the FBI, there's no trust. And, of course, the media. And Gallup has done these surveys over the years that reflect the declining trust in American institutions. And I would just say quickly, they started this survey, I believe, in 1958. And the question was, do you believe that the federal government tries to do the right thing most of the time? It's pretty broad. You can slice that a couple of different ways. And in the 50s, the answer was 74% said yes. Now we're down into the high 20s, low 30s, low 20s, depending on the year and the news flow. I mean, there's just no trust in these. James Comey is a great example, right? Just think, you trusted James Comey. Oh, my God, what a fool were you, right? I mean, that kind of thing, I think, is happening to a lot of people across this country in particularly the last generation. It happens to different people for different reasons at different times, of course. But the trend is what is the most frightening. I mean, even trust in the military has declined. The last time I looked at these numbers, the most trusted institutions in American life were small businesses. And you would have to say that's because people know who owns those businesses. It's a face-to-face, it's a personal relationship. Mm-hmm. Whether it's the baker, the hardware store, or your auto mechanic, people trust the people they deal with. It's the distance created and the anonymity of the bureaucracies that I think people have just no faith in whatsoever.
That's a really interesting perspective. And part of that is also because small businesses deliver what they promise. Otherwise, they're not going to keep the customer. And, of course, government is not bound by that, it doesn't seem. But I tell you, it's funny you say that, because on the one hand, you say, well, that's a bit of good news, because if you don't trust the institution, then you're unlikely to willingly fork over so much of your money to it and so much of your sovereignty to it. But I think what actually happens, and I've learned this living in a kleptocracy called Illinois, is that when people have no trust in the institution, what they do is to say, okay, I know how it works here. You got to play the game to get your special deal, your waiver, your inside play. So it's a cut me in, cut it out. I don't mind the corruption. That's not what bothers me. It only bothers me if I can't figure out a way to get my piece of it. And that actually perpetuates this model that is completely predicated on mistrust, but grows anyway.
No, that's a fair observation. If somebody's stealing my money, maybe I can get in there and steal somebody else's.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
But I think the difficulty, of course, is it's as though we're describing Russia or lots of other kleptocracies around the world. America was supposed to be different. America has been different. And I think that we're going down this road in ways that, for example, Henry Kissinger, during the Iraq-Afghanistan era, said that the mere fact that George Bush and the Congress could effectively declare war and people would rush to volunteer, and we would have an all-volunteer military, and we would have no trouble finding sufficient troops and productive and qualified people to do this work. And he said many countries in the world cannot do that. There is no trust. There is no willingness to volunteer. And so they have to do conscription, et cetera. I wonder if we're not further down that road than we were then. And we saw that with the military enlistments falling. Now they've shot up again, but will they stay there?
No.
And if there is a national emergency, are we united enough to come together and beat it back and to help each other and survive it? I mean, I do worry about these things.
Well, speaking of which, I wanted to get your take on this and give us some insight on that mayor's race. But I mean, speaking of shamelessness, if you thought Seth Moulton was shameless, you haven't heard anything yet. Here's Andy Cuomo's first ad in his mayoral campaign, which he's leading in the polls from what I've read. Cuomo, his handling of COVID is his credential to be New York City's next mayor.
It was the greatest health crisis in our history. And when New Yorkers were desperate for leadership, Andrew Cuomo delivered. He didn't just provide information in those daily COVID briefings. He acted, building emergency hospitals and deploying first responders. And he provided hope that we'd pull through this together. We did. Now New Yorkers face a city unaffordable and streets that don't feel safe. And in a crisis, you want someone who's delivered for us before. Paid for by Cuomo for NYC.
Fact check, he's under DOJ investigation for his handling of COVID.
Does anyone say he did that and lied through his teeth?
Well,
daily?
but that's what I said. So where's New York City on Andy Cuomo? I mean, what he is trying to get away with, and what he may get away with, according to the polling, Michael?
Well, you're right. I mean, according to the polling in the primary, he's got essentially a 20-point lead, let's say, over the second place runner, who is a socialist and anti-Semite. So that's the bad news from New York. New York has this ranked choice voting, and so you get to pick 5 people in order of your preference in the primary, and there are about 8 Democrats running. And so there are these far left groups who are trying to defeat Cuomo by telling their supporters, pick any of these 5, rank them any way you want. Just don't rank the incumbent Eric Adams, who's running as an independent, or Cuomo. And the idea is that way you will marshal all of the far left votes will go to one candidate in this ranked choice system eventually, and that's how you'll beat Cuomo. Look, he's a politician to the core, right? So the fact that he would claim success for COVID is shocking but not surprising. This is who he is. I mean, I've talked to him about this issue, and particularly the nursing homes, which is what is being investigated, his testimony before Congress. He lied. There's no question he lied to Congress. I do question the timing, though, of an investigation so close to the primaries in next month. Mm-hmm. So I do question the timing. I think it's the kind of thing that they did to Donald Trump, and I don't think we should, as a government, be doing this to anybody. I mean, I don't. It is potentially election interference, and I would think the timing. I mean, this thing's happened years ago, so it doesn't seem to me to be a rush right now. Nonetheless, Cuomo is in the driver's seat in the primary. There will be a contested general election, no matter how the primary turns out. I think if Cuomo is the Democratic nominee, normally that guarantees it, but maybe not this time. I mean, other people are running on far left lines. Eric Adams is running as an independent. There will be a Republican nominee. So the vote could be split, and that could deprive the Democrat. But that doesn't mean the alternatives are better. So, look, I think Cuomo he's damaged. I think he's damaged personally. I don't think his heart is really in this. I think it's more a matter of pride. He'd much rather be running for governor or president. So he's kind of slumming it, I think, in his own mind here to be merely the mayor.
Interesting. Yeah.
One of the big problems is that so many of the problems in the city are things that he did as governor. For example, the laws that prosecutors basically find it impossible, even if they were willing to bring charges in certain cases. It's like a turnstile system. You get arrested, you're back on the streets before the cops finish the paperwork. He did that. Taking away power from judges, do the congestion pricing, all kinds of school things that he set in motion when he was governor are now the things he's running against.
Yeah.
It's an odd situation, but he's been around a long time and got a long trail.
Well, I keep waiting, hopefully, for a surprise in a big blue city. And then I see Larry Krasner get reelected, and I'm looking at Andy Cuomo's poll numbers, and I'm discouraged, but well, what are you going to do? Michael Goodwin, New York Post columnist. Michael, thank you as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you both.
And he joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. It's almost time once again for the annual AM 560 golf outing, presented by Signature Bank. And this year, AM 560 is proud to partner with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation to help them support America's first responder and military heroes, including homeless veterans, and to help America never forget 9/11. This year, our golf outing is happening on Wednesday, June 18th at McRae Memorial Golf Club in Barrington. When you purchase a foursome to join us, you'll enjoy a full day of golf, meals, an awards reception, and a silent auction. And if you're a business owner, when you purchase a foursome, you'll also receive an AM 560 marketing campaign, which includes 25 one-minute commercials to air on AM 560 Monday through Friday between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m., and a free digital marketing analysis. Reserve your foursome today at 560theanswer.com/golf. That's 560theanswer.com/golf. Sponsored in part by Trump International Hotel and Tower Chicago, Suburban Welding and Steel, and by Monarch Technical Recruiting Services. AM 560, The Answer.
John Cass, JohnCassNews.com, in for Amy this morning. Thank you as always, John. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Dan, and thanks for recommending a restaurant for my wife and I to have our 39th wedding anniversary.
Oh, lovely. It's a lot of pressure on me and Lane Ahmad, but I'm sure we will both deliver. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for everybody who joined us, and looking forward to seeing listeners at Gaelic Park tonight for night number 2, cigar night number 2 with Larry Elder. It is now 9 a.m., AM 560 WIND Chicago.
Will he face murder and terror charges? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That is a question in Washington. The morning after 2 Israeli embassy staffers were shot and killed.
Authorities are questioning the suspect, trying to track down all leads, trying to figure out exactly what led up to the shooting last night.
Fox's David Spunt also reports on the victims.
Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram, both were soon to be engaged. Both worked for the Israeli embassy in Washington. Both lost their lives after police say a 30-year-old from Chicago shot and killed them.
It happened outside the Capitol Jewish Museum, and the accused gunman then went inside. where an event organizer, Jojo Keelan, thought at first he was a witness to the shooting and asked him,
"Can I get you water?" He said, "Yes, that would be great."
And then she tells Fox,
"I looked Evil right in the eye, and there he was. And seconds after I handed him the water, he brandishes the keffiyeh, yells 'Free Palestine,' and then he's apprehended."
And he was chanting that when he was arrested. A small plane crashed early this morning in San Diego, California.
I looked out the window, and there was just flames everywhere. And then we heard the chain reaction of boom, boom, boom.
He was hearing multiple homes and cars catch fire after the plane went down into a neighborhood, leaving wreckage scattered and fuel spilled. We don't know yet about deaths or injuries. In Louisiana, it's day 7 of the manhunt for 5 escaped prisoners still on the run. 5 others who also broke out last week have been captured. At the Capitol,
on this vote, the yeas are 215, the nays are 214.
That House vote 3 hours ago proving what Republicans call one big, beautiful bill to fund President Trump's agenda. Speaker Mike Johnson says,
"It revives our economy. It will deliver historic tax relief. It will make the largest investment in our border security in a generation."
They also say they're cutting waste, fraud, and abuse out of Medicaid, adding a work requirement, which is why Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries calls it one big ugly bill.
Millions of people will lose their coverage as a result of this GOP tax scam.
He says millions more will lose food assistance. America's listening to Fox News.
Now, your official weather forecast.
This afternoon, mostly cloudy and cool with a shower in spots on high 57. Tonight, partly cloudy and chilly, low 45. Friday, mostly cloudy and remaining cool with a high of 61. Saturday, partly sunny with a high of 64. I'm Jillian Ford on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. This week on Capitol Hill is the best way to get informed on everything going on with Congress. Hosted by Tony Perkins and the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
But we've been working in tandem, and that's a really important concept here, and one we've tried to maintain a close coordination between the White House, the Senate Republicans, and the House Republicans. It's an all-team effort, and it's so much to show.
Stay informed and become a regular listener. This week on Capitol Hill, Sundays at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Heroes like Austin Reese have paid a high price for our freedom. Austin served 3 deployments to Iraq. He spent 13 years with the Navy Explosive Ordnance Disposal Unit and became a military freefall instructor. But in what was thought to be a routine jump, something went terribly wrong. Austin was left paralyzed. Tunnel to Towers built Austin a specially adapted smart home. Help heroes. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288.
A world without signs. It's hard to imagine. No directions, no branding or identity for businesses. But over 70 years ago, Rhoda was built and has been helping Chicagoland businesses get noticed on the street, on the job site, and on the move. Family owned and fiercely focused on quality, Rhoda delivers custom signs, vehicle wraps, wall graphics, and more with fast lead times and real service. From design to print and fabrication to installation, we handle every step so you don't have to. Whether you need a logo on your building, a message on your fleet, or a bold presence at your next event, Rhoda makes it happen. Check out the possibilities at Rhoda.com. That's ROEDA.com to schedule your consult today. Rhoda.com. Rhoda. Signs, print, service. We don't just make signs. We get you recognized.
Need life insurance but have diabetes, high blood pressure, or on anxiety meds? If you're a 50-year-old male, even porky, or with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of life insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. For affordable term life insurance, call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2030.